traffic and jaywalking, which poses a significant risk to motorists and pedestrians.
The road has been surfaced with paving bricks, moving away from the traditional tar. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News.
Residents in Westbury say if water is not restored in 7 days as promised by city officials, they will continue with their protest. Representatives from Joburg Water alongside Mayor Dada Morero met with the community yesterday after days of protests. The utility has promised that water will be restored. However, this will be done by shutting off supply in other areas. Jabulile Mbata has more.
Joburg Water explained that their infrastructure is aging and the demand for water is too high to match supply. At a chance to speak, many residents raised their frustration with the situation, saying it's been years and they cannot take this inhumanity any longer. Some dared to call for the resignation of the mayor should he fail to restore the water in the promised week-long period.
The strike's not over. It will not. We will continue in the streets until we have running water in our...
Joburg Water added that it has allocated 800 million for their entire system refurbishment. Jabulile Mbata, Eyewitness News, Westbury.
There's been a spate of killings in Kraaifontein in Cape Town where 9 people have been murdered in the past 72 hours, including 3 men torched in a suspected vigilante attack. This wave of violence comes despite recent visits by National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola, who was in the area this week, and Acting Police Minister Firoz Kachalia, who has also been in the province in response to rising crime. Kayleen Morgan reports.
Bloodstains and 2 tires are still in a slipway near the informal settlement in Kraaifontein, where 3 men were torched on Wednesday night. Just 24 hours earlier, 6 others were gunned down in 3 separate double murders in the same area. Community leaders say they warned police during a march late last month that more violence was inevitable if gang-related crimes weren't brought under control.
That triple murders is what we already anticipated on our memorandum, saying that they must deploy more, they must ask assistance from law enforcement, they must ask assistance everywhere they can get, even in private securities, because the issue of murder, especially of guns, is becoming more bad in our community.
Now leaders say they hope the mobile police station they demanded in the memorandum in the area will become a priority. Kayleen Morgan, Eyewitness News, Kraaifontein.
And Brazil's former president Jair Bolsonaro has been sentenced to 27 years and 3 months in prison after being found guilty of plotting a military coup. 4 out of 5 Supreme Court justices found him guilty, while 1 judge voted to acquit him. The 70-year-old has been convicted of leading a conspiracy aimed at keeping him in power after he lost the 2022 election to his left-wing rival Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. While the plot failed to enlist enough support from the military to go ahead, it did culminate in the storming of government buildings by Bolsonaro's supporters in 2023. Gold is trading at $3,649.80 an ounce. The rand is at 17.35 to the dollar, 23.53 to the pound, 20.35 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $66.04 a barrel.
There's some delays on the M1 North between Boyson's Road and the Crown Interchange while travelling along the Golden Highway towards Meredale. Do expect delays due to long-term roadworks as you approach the N1.
And in sport, former Springbok fullback Bevan Fortuin has died at the age of 46. Sascock pleads with the Sports Ministry to reverse a decision to cut all funding. And Manchester United goalkeeper Andre Onana will spend the rest of the season out on loan with Turkish club Trabzonspor.
A partly cloudy Friday in store for Gauteng, Johannesburg and Vereeniging both at 13 degrees, peaking at 29, Pretoria 16 and 30. The top story in EWN this hour, the city of Johannesburg will finally reopen Lillian Ngoyi Street in the Joburg CBD this morning after missing its own deadline.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Good morning. 6 minutes after 6 o'clock. Good morning, 702 Landers. Are you in Merton? Are you in Melville? Are you in Wattville or Wadeville? Are you in Isando? or Irene, Bakersdal or Brakpan. Those are two sides of the world, opposite ends of the world, right? Bakersdal and Brakpan. Doesn't matter wherever you're listening to us from. We are the station that aims to reach you around the world. Our job is to tell you what's going on in the world, why it's important, why it matters to you, how it will impact you, and hopefully to inform you to make decisions that will serve you based on that information. Is it a good time to buy a house or a car? Is it a good time to travel? Where are the best places to go? What's going on in the country? What's going on around the world? Some of this information may not feel related to those decisions, but trust me, when Muteo Khwaripe goes into the rands and cents of it, it suddenly makes sense if you need to travel, what the US dollar rand exchange might be, right? Suddenly makes sense when it comes to your budget and the interest rate, what the price of oil might actually be.
You went to Italy recently.
I did.
Were you doing the math, or you just saved your heart?
When I spent €5 at a coffee shop at the airport to buy a cappuccino and converted that to 122 rand.
Why would you hurt yourself?
Yo, guys.
Never convert.
Yo. You see.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
I'm not alone, of course, as you have already heard. Muteo Khwaripe is with us with business news and so much more. What fun you had yesterday hosting the Money Show outside. And it just looked so fantastic.
So amazing.
That old Anglo-American building.
Under the city lights. It's what Josie should be actually at night.
Tell us more.
Yes, there was security. So there's a lot of training going on of young people around the city that actually stay in the city, being upskilled around being safety officers and getting their certification. This, obviously, to try and make the city more safe. It's an initiative called Babi Zabonke. It's a collaboration between artists, the city of Johannesburg, business people, big business like banks, to try and get the Johannesburg CBD to what it used to be, the sparkle that we know it for, the nightlife, the eateries, the fact that there are green spaces that you can go to safely. That's what they're trying to do, fixing the city block by block. So it was quite nice to be a part of that.
And you were there hosting the Money Show, from that experience. And is it more of the same, please? Let's do more, let's do more, let's do more.
It is more of the same, but also new ideas, because now it's basically this organization asking the city's people what they'd like to see instead of just imposing changes upon them. So it was really, really nice to see that old building, the Anglo-American office, changed into now like a training facility for young people, a space where they can go.
And it's massive, isn't it?
It is massive. It's one of those buildings that has been there since the 1930s, but really tells a story of Johannesburg as a gold rush area. And since Anglo has moved out, they've given the keys to Josie Majosi, and they are really doing really fun stuff with that building.
And there's an art gallery, I think, there as well, an exhibition space at least. All right, fantastic stuff. Amoramela, a very good morning to you. Happy Friday.
Good morning, happy Friday.
Now, on our menu today, our political desk is going to be one of the tricky ones for me, because I think this is the first one I'm going to be doing without Tsidi Madia, who was, of course, our resident analyst until her recent passing. We've invited Prince Mashele, the political analyst, to look at the week that was. And then just so much going wrong in Gauteng, whether you're talking healthcare, whether you're talking the Department of Social Development, millions spent on things that we simply cannot account for with no consequence, right? Remember when they sprayed empty schools? We were all on lockdown, children were not going to school, and they came and they sprayed. It was called fogging. It was a big thing. They came and sprayed the schools so that COVID wouldn't be passed on, except the kids were at home. But they spent R500 million, 450 million rand or thereabouts. Was anyone ever held accountable? Did anyone lose their job or go through some disciplinary process? It's one of those stories that just disappeared into the ether and we moved on like nothing happened. And it's just one of those things that we as South Africans cannot let continue. Our big interview this morning is with Mark Haywood, who's going to take us through a number of stories that we have covered and spoken about before, and we want to find out what happened. What was the result of that action? We continue with our correspondence desk with R&B and FNB Nokukanya Mdambo joining us in studio for that. And just before 9, the fabulous Clint Brink, the actor, is going to be in the studio with us, telling us about dancing the death drill at the Joburg Theatre.
You're with Bongani Bingwa.
7:02 weekday mornings, 6 to 9 a.m.
12 minutes after 6. I've kept you waiting deliberately just because I can be that guy. But I know one or two of you are sitting in your cars and are going, excuse me, mister. What's the one thing you ought to be doing at this hour? So here we go. Clear your throats. A one, two, three. It's a Friday. It's a Friday. It's a Friday. It's our tradition to just usher in the weekend that way.
Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.
So here's a question. How important is your surname to you? Do you know its origins? Do you know what it actually means outside of being the name of your grandfather or your great-grandfather that's been passed on through the generations? One of the things that is interesting for me as a person who speaks isiXhosa as my mother tongue, there are many isiXhosa surnames that Xhosa people today cannot explain. They can tell you maybe the history of the name, but they don't know what it means, because some of the names that are used in our surnames are, if you will, old isiXhosa, where people have forgotten the meaning. But nonetheless, people are really, really proud of their surnames. How important is it to you that you are called Mr., Ms., whoever you may be? And what does it say to you, about you? How does that define you? I'm really, really curious about this. And yes, of course, it comes in the wake of yesterday's Constitutional Court judgment, because one of the things that has emerged yesterday, if you were not keeping up with the news, the Constitutional Court has essentially, as we told you they might, ruled on the issue of surnames in South Africa. So it comes from two cases where couples, a man and a woman, in both instances, wanted to combine their surnames and hyphenate them, right? So, for example, if I was marrying Amo Ramila, it would then be Bongani Ramila Bingwa. And as far as the law is concerned, you can't do that, because traditionally it was always assumed the woman would take over the husband's surname. You were allowed to keep your surname as the woman, but the law had not envisaged a scenario in which the husband might want part or even the entire surname of the woman. And the Constitutional Court yesterday saying absolutely you can, right? I mean, of course, Parliament has to ratify it and make sure it's the law properly, but essentially you can choose whatever part or all of the surname of the person you want to marry, regardless of whether you're a man or a woman. And many people have come out quite forcefully about this and saying it is un-African. I want you to listen to Professor Nokuzola Mdende from the Ikamaku Heritage Institute, who says, what do you mean men can now take their wives' surnames if they choose to?
You know, when I was listening to the honorable judge, I just told myself, I don't think this is happening in South Africa, because I understand in the Constitutional Court there are African judges there. I don't know whether they were part of this, because this is not meant for the Africans, that judgment, because in the first place, we are the people who are not individualistic. And I don't think our people were consulted in this thing, because we are creating men who are irresponsible, we are creating men who are psychologically sick. That is why gender-based violence is escalating. Just imagine uSmayeni wendoda ozawusebenzisa isename yakwamdende ubethathe uNokuzola Mdende. That is a sign of an irresponsible man.
Irresponsible man, sick man. There's another cultural expert, Professor Professor Sihaukele Ngubane, who says there are cultural implications to any man deciding to take on his wife's surname.
I think for some people it is a game changer, but for most African people, it is something that I feel that the Constitutional Court has reframed the cultural heritage in the era where we are working very hard to safeguard our customs and traditions, which is supported by the Constitution. Because if we consider diversity in our country, we have diverse beliefs on what marriage is constituted. And I think this ruling will also affect the family structure, because for most African people, they believe that the male lineage is the one that should continue. That is why we have different clans that carry those surnames. So for a man to take the surname of the wife, it is something that we will have to debate and have more dialogue to take it through, because it is going to cause cultural tensions.
Do you agree with those perspectives? This is un-African. It's going to threaten the structure and stability of the family. Muteo Khwaripe, how proud are you to be known as Mr. Khwaripe?
I'm very proud to be known as Mr. Khwaripe. My thing is with this whole thing, Bongani, I've learned to accept we're in modern society. Things like this will happen. Things will change. But I also think about just how practically some of these decisions will play out in society. So I am at my partner's gate. They're at their family's house. We're there to pay lobola. What is the agreement? That I pay lobola and then I take the Kuzwayo surname. I don't know.
Well, presumably it would be something you want, right? So I think let's be clear. The Constitutional Court has not imposed
It's
anything
not forcing
new.
anything on anyone.
Never mind that.
Yeah.
It's not imposing anything new. It's not saying going forward, this is now what you have to do. It is saying if you want to, you may now do so. If you choose to, for whatever reasons between the two of you, that you are going down this road, it's a choice. I'm going to throw a cat among the pigeons. For all the people who want to debate that this is un-African, I wonder if people are aware that it was only until the colonial period that we Africans adopted surnames to begin with. We have far more complex and I think interesting ways of naming ourselves via the clans, right? And you can be, for example, in my case, Ndilibele. But Amabele are different. Kukho Kuboni, kukho Dlambul, kukho Ndamani, and many other subsets of those clans. And so, for example, just because you are a Bele, it doesn't mean all of them apply to you, because it depends on which house your lineage traces from. Right? So all of these things are very, very interesting, but I'm curious about the people who are prepared to die on the hill of never me, when in fact they're defending a tradition that isn't even African. Think about it.
Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702. Let's walk
20 after 6, let's get the show moving. Mateo, you've got a question of your own?
I want to know this morning from you and other 702 landers, where does your entertainment budget go? Do you spend it more on buying sports tickets, going to matches, eating out? Are you a buyer of books mostly? That's where your money goes. Where does that entertainment budget go?
Eating out? Books? Yeah. I mean,
That's
and then
a
of
war
course
chest,
the television subscription services,
Yeah.
from DSTV to the streaming services, all of that would be considered entertainment. But going out,
The lion's
would
share of
be-
it goes
would
to
be,
going out.
and I don't go out that often, all that often.
But when you do,
But
it's
you know, you want it to be memorable.
702.
Weather.
It's a partly cloudy Friday in store for Gauteng today. Temperatures both in Joburg and Vereeniging 13 to 29, 16 to 30 for Pretoria. Bombela peaks at 32, Bloemfontein 30, Durban cloudy, 23 degrees is your high. In Gqeberha and East London, it will be 20. Cape Town, 25 degrees.
EWN traffic.
Amor, what are you seeing on your fancy maps at this hour?
Bongani, we've got delays already on the M1 North. This is between Boysons Road and Carr Street. There's also queuing traffic along the N1 North between Mayibuye Drive and Winnie Mandela Drive. That's in the Fourways area. Also, do remember that along Winnie Mandela Drive, traffic lights remains out of order as you approach Leslie.
Guess what I didn't tell you and the listeners? This EWN Eyewitness News Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance in partnership with 702.
More traffic updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. Like the eager beaver driving to meet the woman of his dreams. Butterflies in his stomach, GPS on full volume. He checks his hair for the 7th time.
Looking good.
The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic. It's a possible love story on the move. Every story is different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005. In proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
It's a Friday, it's a Friday, it's a Friday. Morning team. Happy Friday. Menzi from Lowly Extension 2.
702 delivers
on the matters that matter to you.
I'm Nathan Ilunga. I'm Congolese, and one thing I love about 702 is the open line on Clement Manachela show and the healing hour. Overall, what I like most about the station is the different topic they cover. They broaden your mind and push you to think. They help you to become a critical thinker. So that's why I listen to 702.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts.
so we can deliver more on what matters to you.
702 listens.
Let's walk the talk.
For the first time ever, the G20 is being hosted on African soil, a global moment of solidarity, equality and sustainability with Africa at the center. Tune in today between 6 and 9 a.m. for the G20 Correspondence Desk, brought to you by RMB and FNB, proud sponsors of this year's G20 Summit. Get all the latest news, views, insights and breakthroughs from the summit as it happens. The G20 Correspondence Desk on 702, brought to you by RMB and FNB, divisions of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized financial services and credit provider.
Brush, stroke, paint, color, protect, and admire. From roof paint to exterior textures and interior silk, Warrior Paints has it all. The product range and stylish colors are amazing. And what's more, Warrior Paints has crushed prices for incredible savings. Enjoy that good old-fashioned personal service you deserve. For price, quality, variety, and service, Warrior Paints is streets ahead. Warrior Paints. Affordable, lasting luxury.
One festival, endless flavor, and 2 unforgettable days of timeless music. The DSTV Delicious International Food and Music Festival, powered by Lotto Star, returns on 20 and 21 September at Kyalami Grand Prix Circuit. On Saturday, the stage erupts with Don Toliver, Questa, and Nkabi Zezwe. Then on Sunday, experience the legendary Lauryn Hill, Wyclef Jean, Lyra, and more. The DSTV Delicious Festival, powered by Lotto Star. Tickets at Ticketmaster.
Be in it to win it by playing Powerball and Powerball Plus for a life-changing 124 million rand in total estimated jackpots this Friday. That's right. Play Powerball for an estimated 64 million rand and Powerball Plus for an estimated 60 million rand today. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529 hash for USSD. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old or play responsibly. E2 is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
What do partners of the Gates Foundation do when facing the world's toughest challenges? They keep going. From discovering a plastic drape that helps detect excessive postpartum bleeding faster, to developing better bed nets to kill malaria-carrying mosquitoes, to researching an RSV vaccine that could save hundreds of thousands of children. For every problem, there are people who prove that progress is possible. The Gates Foundation, partners of human potential. Learn more at gatesfoundation.org/keep going.
Start your day with Bongani Bingwa
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Goodness me, what you need to know at this hour, the Gqeberha High Court reopening the inquest into the death of Steve Biko today. It's 40 years since the Black Conscious leader died in police custody. He died on this day in 1977. It's extraordinary to think he was only 30 years old, Mateo. It's been longer since he died than he was alive. He was 30 when he died, and it's been 48 years since. The Constitutional Court, as I said earlier, has now made it official. Men can now take their wives' surnames in whole or use it as part of a double-barreled surname when they get married. That is if they choose. The court has not said you must now do this. It says you can. And you've got to consider that there are all kinds of couples now who get married. Couples of the same sex, for example. queer couples. There are all kinds of arrangements that people choose to get into in the year 2025. But like all privilege, isn't it funny how people get upset? Not when they lose their privilege, just when somebody else also gets a bite at the cherry. Meanwhile, new surveillance footage has revealed how the gunman who killed Charlie Kirk got away. The suspect sprinted across a campus rooftop in Utah, jumped down, leaving palm and shoe prints, and then calmly slipped into a wooded area where police later found a high-powered rifle. Vicky Turner will give us more details on that story in the World View. And back home, Joburg's Lillian Ngoyi Street, formerly known as Bree, reopened this morning more than 2 years after that deadly underground gas explosion forced its closure. They've used paving bricks and they've tried to narrow the lanes to, I suppose, to have more accessibility for pedestrians. And I wonder, what's your best solution for even paving in your home, for your driveway? Do you have paved bricks? I've got tar, like you have on the street. I've had it for about 10 years, and I tell you, it is so durable because unlike ordinary paving, which they'd have to dig out to replace, this is just poured, the concrete is just poured on top of what exists, and it's smooth as a baby's bottom. And it's endured. These last 10 years, I haven't had to patch it, not even once. What's your solution? Do you think Bree Street, a busy street like Bree, will work with just paving? What are your thoughts?
702.
The newspapers.
Fiso Zulu, what's in the newspapers?
Good morning, Bongani. Quick one. USA Today, the front page, is talking about something that I, as a 36-year-old young adult, relate to. They're saying that young adults are prioritizing economic security over marriage and having children. And this is according to a report that was conducted by the Census Bureau in the US. And this is basically just shifting priorities to reflect the burden of rising living costs such as housing and food and travel. And they're referring to how 50 years ago, in 1975, about 45% of adults between the ages of 25 and 34 had moved away from their parents' houses and they've moved to their own homes, started families. But 50 years later, 25% of young adults.
So that's 24 to 35.
Yes, they're not doing that.
And
right?
now at 36, you're still a young adult.
I am,
The things we tell ourselves. The Mail and Guardian comes out every Friday, and today they've got a story that I think we should all read. It's about yet another child who has died in a toilet at school. Avetandwa Kunene, 6 years old, a grade R learner at Umzila Primary School in Danhauser, KZN, drowned after falling into an underground septic tank at his school. And the minister has set all kinds of targets, including the Sanitation Appropriate for Education initiative. And what they said was they were going to eradicate these pit toilets and even these septic tanks as toilets in schools. And yet here we are in our democracy, 31 years strong. Kids are still dying from drowning in toilets. Let that sink in.
EWN Business.
Mateo wants to know, where does our entertainment budget, where does it go? Is it food? Is food entertainment? I suppose if you order in,
Yeah, you
yes,
dining out.
entertain.
Yeah.
Yes, rolla, as my mother would say. Tickets to events, sports, matches, concerts, dining, holidays. What prompts the question?
Bongani, new numbers from Stats SA show that gambling spend has surpassed all forms of entertainment spend in South Africa.
Really?
South Africans now spend more on taking their chances than buying books, eating out, and buying match and concert tickets. Now, Stats SA shows that the country's betting industry has grown by over 1,400% from 2018 to 2023, reaching 152 billion rand in revenues from just 10 billion 5 years ago. Now, this makes gambling one of the fastest growing industries in South Africa's personal services industry, far ahead of other sectors like education services and event productions. The National Gambling Board of South Africa says gambling revenue reached 59.3 billion in 2023-2024, up 25.7%. Now, when Stats SA looked at how households spend money on fun activities like sports, gym, games, books, tickets, and more than half of that more than half, at 54%, goes to betting. So lottery tickets, the apps on your phone where you get to play casino, taking a lot of your money.
It tells you almost everything you need to know about where we are as a society. Where's the rand?
17 Rand 36 against the US dollar, 20 Rand 35 cents against the euro, and 23 Rand 52 cents against the British pound. Price of gold now up more than 0.5% at $3,653 an ounce, or platinum is also in the green at $1,394. Brent crude at $65.83 a barrel. I'll have more business for you after 7.
Time now for your latest eyewitness news. Now, Sfisa Zulu, what are the real young people saying?
Well, thank you. Good morning. Gauteng young people who've applied for a government jobs program say they are aware that the initiative could be used as a political ploy, but insist that what matters most is getting employment. Premier Panyaza Lesufi yesterday launched another phase of the mass recruitment drive, which he says will create 45,000 skills development jobs within the next 2 months, and successful applicants will receive training and employment in fields such as plumbing, construction, electrical work, and the automotive sector. Hundreds of young people gathered in Katlehong yesterday to submit their CVs. Alfa Ramushwana was there.
When Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi first introduced the Nasispani program ahead of last year's general elections, he faced criticism that it was being used as an ANC campaigning tool. Once again, some suspect the timing of this new phase is politically motivated, with municipal elections around the corner. But 30-year-old unemployed Martin Shabalala says, campaign or not, all he wants is a job.
I've been jobless for years, so I don't care about politics. I'm going to grab every opportunity.
Everything is allowed, you need to grab it.
Lesufi has dismissed claims that this is a political campaign.
We didn't ask you a political party because all these opportunities are free of charge.
He says his focus is now to reduce youth unemployment in the province. Alfa Ramshwana, Eyewitness News, Katlehong.
Ekurhuleni Metro Police say they will intensify searches in schools to ensure safety after some pupils were found with more than 200 vapes. During this week's search at one school in Benoni, officers also found Ziploc bags of cannabis, knives and other weapons. EMPD spokesperson Katlehong Phahlele says the operation was sparked by the growing threat of student health and safety.
With the continuous purpose to intensify operations on school searches to curb the number of unlawful activities taking place on school premises, learners were body searched while the K9 unit sniffer dogs were used to search school bags in the classrooms for illicit substances and dangerous weapons.
Acting Police Minister Feroz Kachalia says the door of devolution of policing powers has not been completely shut. Kachalia met with Western Cape Premier Ellen Windy and Mayor Jordan Hill-Lewis in Cape Town to discuss rampant crime in the Cape. The Western Cape government has been actively pushing for the devolution of certain policing powers from national to local authorities. Ntutuzelo Nene takes a look.
The devolution of some policing powers from national to local authorities has been on the Western Cape government's agenda for many years now. The provincial government has argued that the centralized control of policing is ineffective and that the SAPS is overstretched, under-resourced and unable to respond adequately to localized crime issues. Acting Police Minister Feroz Kachalia says they had a productive discussion about the issue.
We have agreed to continue the conversation. What we are all interested in is what measures are necessary to improve safety in the province.
Kachalia says they are not yet at a point where they know exactly what to do about this matter. Dutuzelo Nene, Eyewitness News in Cape Town.
And lawyers for Brazil's former president Jair Bolsonaro say they will appeal his 27-year prison sentence, including at international level, after he was found guilty of plotting a coup. 4 out of the 5 Supreme Court justices found him guilty, while one judge voted to acquit him. The 70-year-old has been convicted of leading a conspiracy aimed at keeping him in power after he lost the 2022 election to his left-wing rival Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. While the plot failed to enlist enough support from the military to go ahead, it did culminate in the storming of government buildings by Bolsonaro supporters in 2023. His lawyers consider the sentences handed down to be incredibly excessive and disproportionate. A partly cloudy Friday in store for Gauteng today. The temperatures are at lows of 13 and 16 degrees, peaking at highs between 29 and 30.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the Mayibuye North between Boyson's Road and Car Street. There's also queuing traffic along Crownwood Road coming out of the Soweto Highway. An accident has been reported there. Please be on the lookout.
The top story this hour: young people who've applied for Gauteng government jobs programs say they are aware that the initiative could be used as a political ploy, but they insist that what matters most is getting employment.
Insurance pulls you in. Pineapple pulls you under. Insurance. Pineapple. Insurance. Pineapple. Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP.
Ready, jet, go! 2 fully paid trips to the Abu Dhabi Motor Racing Spectacular must be won in the thrilling new JetX competition exclusive to Hollywood Bets. An unforgettable experience awaits on one of the fastest circuits on the planet, with the world's top drivers battling for supremacy. To stand a chance to win, bet 10 Rand or more on JetX. 1 million Rand in cash is also up for grabs. Hollywood Bets. Fly higher with our multiplier. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
Let me get this right, Ron. You're a plumber by day and Pretoria's smoothest wedding DJ by night.
Yeah, it started out as a passion and now I've got bookings until December. And a smoke machine that needs its own seatbelt.
And you sold your car to buy a van through We Buy Cars.
Brew, it was music to my ears. Zero admin, no long queues. They pulled in, checked it out, and before I knew it, I had cash in the bank.
Now that's a banger. We Buy Cars. Geared for your passion, geared for you.
702. WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Bongs, morning. I can happily take my wife's surname. I can happily do that as long as she is gonna go and pay Lobola. As long as she's gonna go and pay Lobola, that's the bottom line. Inkomo eziwu-11 ahamba ayozishaya ziphelele kithi, hayi ngiyasishintsha isibongo.
Hello, Bongani Bingwa. This debate on it's optional to choose to add your spouse surname, but judging from what you've said, Bongani, you're actually contradicting yourself. Because imagine the clans, they try to identify us on where we come from, and then here you are, you take your spouse surname, you add it, and down the line we are writing our names, we say, it's too long, let me write just this other end of the surname, and you use the surname of your spouse. How do we trace your clan then? We are afraid that is fragmenting it all over, Bongani. No.
I don't know if I am. So here's the thing. As I said to you, we have far more interesting ways of naming ourselves as Africans. So let's talk about clans, for example. Typically, the children take on the clan of their father, if, of course, the couple are married. But also, we know there are many scenarios in which the mother might be a single mother, in which case, because there's no marriage, particularly if the traditional rites are not performed, the child would then assume the clan of her mother's people. And even when the woman is married, she retains the clan name with which she entered the marriage. She doesn't suddenly become Madlamini if she was Makumalo. She'll be Makumalo for the rest of her life. There are all kinds of intricacies and ways to be flexible around these things. I don't think it's not as hard and fast a rule as I think some of us are making it out to be, and it is evolving. So if you want to link Lobola to marriage, again, I put it to you, that's a recent phenomenon. Because until the colonial times, and particularly when the colonists wanted to subjugate Africans, we didn't use surnames. We were far more involved with clan names and relations according to your tribe and movements of your people. Those were the things that mattered, not so much your surname. And even, the English people, their surnames actually mean something, or did at a point. If you are Banks today, you likely came from people who lived near a riverbank. If you're a Smith, your people likely worked with metals. If you are a Brown, that was often a reference to maybe the color of your hair or the color of your eyes. All of these things once upon a time meant something. And not all societies have had surnames in the way that we understand them today. Culture evolves. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. It's okay.
EWN Sport.
Mawanda Mateza, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, Bongani.
Do you know what Mateza means?
You got me. I've heard different things.
Yeah?
That perhaps sometimes I should pronounce my surname as Mateza, as in Uteza Inguni, which is together
Yes,
wood.
that's exactly what I was thinking. It has something. It might have something to do with
that.
chopping.
But not really. To be very
And
honest.
your
with
clan
you.
name?
Singona Londoko Sompembo Nzimangwenyo no Jakatela no Spekos.
Now, how much more interesting is that than just Mateza?
That's exactly what I was thinking about when you were saying all of this, is that I like my surname. I'm not particularly attached to it.
Yeah.
It's a thing that readily identifies me with my brother, with my dad, with the rest of my family.
Your people.
But,
Yeah.
we've got a broader clan as well.
Yes.
We don't share the same surname. And when we have family gatherings and that, we are close. We are very warm and loving towards each other. And there's that like familiarity and connection that we have already.
You've hit the nail on the head, because part of how Africans think about familial relations, it's not just about the immediate mother and father, brothers and first or second cousins. The fact that Ndilipele means anybody who is of that lineage, whether Gumbuto, Undamane, or Dlambulongo, Kuboni, Umafu, we're all part of one thing.
100%.
Singamabele, Sizingangalala. Hey?
Yeah.
As the song goes.
Gives me chills.
Okay, you're here for sports.
Thank you very much. Well, Bongani, we'll begin with some sad news. And former Springbok fullback Bevan Fortuin has died at the age of 46. He rose to prominence in the late 90s when he began his professional career with the SWD Eagles, but he became a star in the mid-2000s when he was part of the Currie Cup winning Free State Cheetahs team that won 3 titles in a row, and he was capped twice by the Boks in 2006. He was coaching club rugby in Pretoria at the time of his death.
46, so young, hey?
Yeah, and it's a suspected heart attack. And I don't want to draw a link, but it's been something that's been happening quite a few times with former players in their 40s. I think Chester Williams,
Rugby players.
Former rugby players. Chester Williams was one also, I think, suspected heart attack, and James Small as well. I don't know if there's a link in that one, and I don't want to speculate, but yeah, sad nonetheless. Anyways, the Springboks will be in action tomorrow when they take on the All Blacks in the Rugby Championship. The world champions are hoping to bounce back from last Saturday's defeat, and centre Damien Willemse says the advantage that this week's new look team has is that they're not burdened by last week's result.
For us at the Springboks, we want to try and win every test match. And yeah, obviously last week is still there, but we've put that behind us now after reviewing it and knowing where we went wrong. So yeah, for us, it's directly looking forward to Saturday and making sure, as I said, we can go out and play positively and get the victory. So that's what we focused on.
Kickoff there is at 9 a.m. That game will be followed by the Springbok women, who'll be playing in their first ever World Cup quarter-final when they play New Zealand's Black Ferns at 2 p.m. SASCOC has asked the Department of Sport and Minister Gayton McKenzie to reverse a decision to cut funding for the organisation. They say McKenzie acted illegally when he announced that all funding for the Olympic body would be cut without prior notification. SASCOC says the move goes against the Sports and Recreation Act and will hamstring its preparations for the LA Olympic and Paralympic Games in 3 years' time. The Sports Ministry is yet to respond to SASCOC's request. And lastly, Manchester United goalkeeper Andre Onana will spend the rest of the season out on loan to Turkish club Trabzonspor. Onana, who arrived at United in a high-profile move for £47 million 2 years ago, has been widely criticised for some glaring errors leading to goals in the last year, and he hadn't played in the Premier League in the current season, and the arrival of new keeper Sané Lamens during the transfer window signalled a move out of the club was imminent for the Cameroonian. Mawanda Mateza, Eyewitness News Sport.
Who is the whizziest of them all?
It's the Whiz Quiz on 702.
Hello, my name is Lenova and I'm 10 years old. I go to First College. When I grow up, I want to be a professional gamer. And I'm so excited to play the Whiz Quiz with you guys.
Oh, That's my daughter's name. You're winning that 10,000, baby. You are.
702.
Coming up at 7:15, the big interview.
EWN Traffic.
See, it's all about the name, Amo. Peak time delays everywhere.
Yes,
It's a Friday.
Bongani, along the N3 North between the Elands Interchange and Morfontein Road, as well as on the Mark 1 North traveling between Boysons and Car Street, as well as on the M2 West between Elof Street and the Crown Interchange. I'll have more updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Mzansi, the wait is finally over. The Great South African Sale is here. Explore more for less with up to 50% off travel deals. Surf the waves, hike the hills, enjoy Gasi, and explore the wild. Book from 8 to 14 September 2025. Visit shortleft.co.za to book now and travel later. After all, it's your country. Enjoy it. Because nothing's more fun than a short left. Hashtag TravelWise Mzansi. T's and C's apply.
The Ordinary at De Hoek Country Hotel, Magaliesburg. A haven of tranquility and a 5-star masterpiece. Unparalleled luxury and the perfect getaway just an hour from Joburg and Pretoria. Bring your team for an executive corporate breakaway. Plan an unforgettable wedding surrounded by breathtaking beauty. Indulge in exquisite fine dining and rejuvenate mind and body at our spa. Visit dehoek.com to discover your exclusive escape. De Hoek Country Hotel. Celebrate life where luxury meets serenity.
This is Jade. She'll spend hours comparing almond milk and once made a spreadsheet just for sneakers. But when she found Santam, SA's leading short-term insurer that offers a range of cover options, from vehicle to building and home contents, even she didn't overthink it. The kind of freedom Santam gives you takes some getting used to. Speak to your broker. Santam, this is freedom. Santam is an authorized FSP, a licensed non-life insurer and controlling company for its group companies.
Coming up in the next hour, What's the Question? And it's brought to you by Outsurance. 3,000 Rand is up for grabs. How it works is, for 1,000 Rand, you send us an answer based on anything that piqued your interest that you heard on the show. WhatsApp us your name and that answer to 072 702 1702. And then someone else will get to ask a question to lead us to your answer. And for their troubles, 2,000 Rand is up for grabs. Now, you always stand a better chance of being selected if you have SMS'd out to Outsurance and got yourself a quote. What are you waiting for? SMS out, just OUT, to 45142, and you could save on your car insurance.
Good morning, Bongani and team. I just want to express my gratitude for the What's the Answer prize. I really appreciate it. It was such a sweet feeling to see the 1,000 Rand notification in my account. It's been a while since my account received such, So thank you so much. May God bless you, 702 and Outsurance. May God bless you in abundance. Thank you. Happy Friday.
The Brainy Kids of the Whiz Quiz
on 702.
Let's give away some cash, shall we? Today we're playing with 10-year-old Lonwabo, who wants to be a professional gamer later on in life. Lonwabo, you know how it works. I've got 10 questions. In 60 seconds, you must give me 10 correct answers to win 10,000 Rand. It's $100 for each question you get correct otherwise. So, let's start the clock. Spell the word because.
BECAUSE.
Correct. What is 10 times 4?
40.
Correct. What is the name of the planet we live on?
F.
Correct. True or false? A place where medicine is sold is called a pharmacy.
True.
Correct. Which bird cannot fly? The ostrich or the blue crane?
The ostrich.
Correct. What is the largest continent on Earth?
America.
Asia. The word teenager is shortened to which four-letter word?
Teen.
Correct. True or false? Argentina is a neighbor of Brazil.
True.
Correct. Which public holiday is on the Monday after Good Friday?
Pass.
Family Day. Which superhero wears a red and blue suit and shoots webs?
Superman.
Spider-Man. Rabubi. Spider-Man. And that's all the time we have for you. 60 seconds. Lonwabo, not a bad round at all. 7 correct answers, and that means you walk away with 700 Rand.
702.
The Political Desk.
Right, it's time now to reflect on the week that was politically. This is the first time I'm doing it without the late Tsidi Madea, who of course was our resident analyst and would do this slot with me. She was an incredible journalist, an incredible talent. And isn't it sad how the good die young? We've invited Prince Mashele to join us this morning and take us through the week that was. Prince, as always, a pleasure to have you on our show. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, Bongani. Thanks and condolences. I feel so bad that I'm in the position of Tsidi this morning.
Yeah, indeed. You've got big shoes to fill, my friend. Let's get straight into it. Looking at the week that was, let's start in Parliament. The President responding to oral questions in the National Assembly. A number of issues arose: the US-South Africa relations, the trade issue, the post-bank gender-based violence, and, of course, the national dialogue. I suppose, in a broader sense, how do you rate his overall performance? Is he coming across as confident, in control? Is it your sense that he's increasingly becoming a lame duck president, a little evasive here and there at perhaps, and that events perhaps are much more in control than he is? What's your sense?
My sense is that he is aware that he has totally lost credibility in South Africa. So he is just performing in Parliament perfunctorily, because he knows that constitutionally is required to appear. If he had a choice, he would hide and run away from society. You can hear from his tone, and you can detect from the commitments that he makes that these are not the words of a sincere president who believes that society trusts him. And of course, he listens to discourse and debates in society. He knows that he has totally lost support. So he is not a confident man at all. He's just performing and waiting for the last day to exit.
Let's talk about some of the criticism he faced. The FF leader, Julius Malema, criticizing his stance on those tariff negotiations, saying that our approach of appeasement, to use his word, is tantamount to begging. Do you think that's fair?
No, that's not fair. Look, you can't, when you're negotiating with another country, you cannot negotiate as if you are demanding. You have negotiations by their very nature are a give and take process. So you have to appease your interlocutor. So I think that Julius completely got it wrong. He doesn't understand how negotiations work.
The other issue that, of course, arose is we are now going to soon hear an announcement on who South Africa's new ambassador to the US will be. It's taken a few months. How do you read that in the context, of course, of these trade negotiations that are ongoing and, shall we say, the temperature of not only this White House, but Washington in general?
Look, it's very clear that the relationship between the U.S. and South Africa is damaged beyond repair within the term of Donald Trump's presidency. There is no effort that will be made by South Africa that will change the poisoned relations between the two countries. It's very clear. So whoever is going to be appointed ambassador will have a very daunting task. Actually, I can tell you, that person will not succeed. That person will simply be a placeholder waiting for Donald Trump's term to end in order for the relations to be reset. Cyril Ramaphosa knows exactly this, because we have seen that there is nothing that has tried with Donald Trump that has worked.
The scary part, of course, is that if that fourth term ends, or whenever that Trump term ends, J.D. Vance might be the one to replace Trump. The one thing I struggled to understand, Prince, was the president's spirited defense of the SANDF chief and that visit to Iran, despite those comments and despite the context, as you've just outlined, in which they occurred and were read. The president is still defending this man.
Yeah. You see, I have a strong suspicion. I will share it in my opinion. Let anybody lynch me if they want to. I have a strong suspicion that the general was sent by the president to pick up some parcel in Iran. And as you would imagine, the plane of a general won't be searched. So I don't know what parcel that would be. Where does my suspicion come from? We know that Cyril Ramaphosa has no problem in keeping illegal dollars in his sofas. So because of that piece of information that we know, anything is possible involving generals. The fact that the president is defending this man who has completely embarrassed our country shows that he actually, one, he knew that this general was going to Iran. Number two, he knows what he was going to do there. So I think the two are actually singing from the same hymn sheet. I don't trust Ramaphosa anymore.
Goodness me. Let's talk about General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, who's become something of a celebrity in South Africa. We've got two processes looking at the allegations he made. There's, of course, the Madlanga Commission, but also the ad hoc committee in Parliament. And one of the debates has been about at which forum will the Lieutenant General appear first. And whilst, of course, that may easily be ironed out, these competing parallel processes, is this a good idea?
Here is the thing, Bonga. People don't understand what's going on here. This is a deliberate confusion created by the ANC. Let's just cut to the chase. There are serious criminal allegations made. What do you do when there are criminal allegations made? You investigate, you entrust the criminal justice system and say, here are allegations, charge Mtunu, arrest him, subject him to a process in court. If he's found guilty, he's going to go to jail. If he's not found guilty, he will walk. That's the easiest. So what does the ANC do? They say, okay, fine. In order for us to make sure that we protect our comrade, we will create two processes that will confuse society. And there will be a lot of noise and people will lose sight of the essence of it. So this is not a problem created by General Mkhwanazi. It's a problem created by the ANC. The ANC president decided to set up a commission of inquiry. The ANC caucus in parliament, knowing what the ANC president has decided, decides to set up an ad hoc committee in order for us, all of us, to chase our tails. That is the game that is being played here. They are now making it appear as if Mkhwanazi does not want to appear before Parliament. No. They have created this confusion themselves. They should not even, in the first place, created this thing. They should have arrested Mtunu, subject him to a process in court. If he's not found guilty, he walks. If he's guilty, he goes to jail.
As simple as that, Prince Mashele. Succinct and to the point political analyst, this morning's Political Desk.
7:02.
Coming up, the big interview.
What often happens in South Africa is there are so many stories that are concerning that on their own would be huge enough elsewhere in the world. But one after the other, one after the other, one after the other. And so what happens is we face this deluge of corruption and incompetence and callousness by state officials. And over time, we just walk away. We forget. We don't want to remember because it's just all so much. Mark Haywood, the longtime activist, executive director of Section 27, says, not under my watch. We're going to delve into some of the stories that you are no doubt familiar with, from Babita Deokaran to the R500 billion that was spent fogging empty schools. And he says it's time for accountability. All of that to come after this Eyewitness News, brought to you by Khaliks. Khaliks, for the businessman who knows what he wants.
This is EWN.
The famous former Priest Street is expected to finally reopen, and Netflix will find out this morning if it can release Beauty and the Beaster. Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. City of Johannesburg officials are expected to reopen Lillian Ngoyi Street in the CBD this morning, 2 weeks after missing their own deadline for the launch. Formerly known as Bree, the street has been under construction after an underground gas explosion during peak afternoon traffic 2 years ago. One person died and several others were injured from the explosion. Alpha Ramushwana is at Lillian Ngoyi Street this morning and joins us now live. Alpha, what is happening there this morning? What can you see?
it in Johannesburg CBD was originally scheduled to reopen on the 1st of this month, but I can tell you that the date was pushed to today to allow some final touch-ups. Right now, Siso, the road appears ready for motorists, though the city's team still need to remove some construction equipment that remains on site. Officials have confirmed that later today, Johannesburg Mayor Dada Morero will officially reopen the road to traffic. In the meantime, Siso, pedestrians are already making use of the pavements for the first time in 2 years and no longer forced to take detours to reach their destinations. Some businesses along the street are also preparing to reopen as the city finalizes the road reopening today. Alfa Ramshwana, Eyewitness News, reporting live from Lilian Street in Johannesburg CBD.
Residents in Westbury say if water is not restored in 7 days, as promised by city officials, they will continue with their protests. Representatives from Joburg Water alongside Mayor Dada Morero met with the community yesterday after days of protests. The utility has promised that water will be restored, but this will come at a price because it will have to shut off supply in other areas. Jabulile Mbata reports.
Joburg Water explained that their infrastructure is aging and the demand for water is too high to match supply. At a chance to speak, many residents raised their frustration with the situation, saying it's been years and they cannot take this inhumanity any longer. Some dared to call for the resignation of the mayor should he fail to restore the water in the promised week-long period.
The strike's not over. It will not. We will continue in the streets until we have running water in our...
Joburg Water added that it has allocated 800 million for their entire system refurbishment. Jabulile Mbata, Eyewitness News, Westbury.
An early morning judgment in the Pretoria High Court is set to determine whether a documentary on convicted rapist and murderer Thabo Bester and his accomplice Nandipha Magudumana will be flighted today. The pair approached the courts on an urgent basis yesterday to temporarily interdict the release of the production. They want the documentary to only be released after the trial into Bester's brazen escape from prison. Bester, who is a convicted rapist and murderer, was arrested with Magudumana while on the run in Tanzania in April 2023. Khomozo Modise has more.
The judgment on Thabo Bester and Nandipha Magudumana's interdict application is set to be handed down at 8:30 this morning, just half an hour before the documentary is scheduled for release. Bester's lawyer advocate Afrika has argued that the docu-series titled Beauty and the Bester has brought serious defamation against him.
So it means that in the nearer future we are likely to have a situation whereby when kids are asked, what do you know? They won't say the Beauty and the Beast as we knew in the literature of English ourselves, who grew up during that time. They will say the Beauty and the Bester, meaning that the beast has been replaced by a certain individual. Now we have a beast in person and personified into the person of Thabo Bester.
Netflix has asked for the application to be dismissed with costs. Khomozo Modise, Eyewitness News at the Pretoria High Court.
And South Sudan's first Vice President Riek Machar has been charged with murder, treason and crimes against humanity in a move that some fear could reignite the country's civil war. Justice Minister Joseph Gang Akech says the charges relate to an attack in March by a militia allegedly linked to the Vice President. The roads leading to his house in the capital, Juba, have been blocked by tanks and soldiers. Forces loyal to Machar fought a 5-year civil war against those backing President Salva Kiir until a 2018 peace deal ending the fighting in the world's newest country. The 2018 peace deal ended the conflict that had killed nearly 400,000 people. However, the relationship between Machar and Kiir has been becoming increasingly strained amid ethnic tensions and sporadic violence. Gold is trading at $3,649.80 an ounce. The rand is at 17.35 to the dollar, 23.53 to the pound, 20.35 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $66.04 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got some delays on the Mayibuye North between Boysons Road and Empire Road. There's also queuing traffic along Crownwood Road approaching the Soweto Highway due to an accident.
And in sport, coach Rassie Erasmus gives the Springboks the freedom to express themselves in their rematch with the All Blacks. The Springbok women prepare for their first ever World Cup quarter-final against New Zealand tomorrow. And Man United sent goalkeeper Andre Onana out on loan to Turkish club Trabzonspor.
A partly cloudy Friday in store for Gauteng. Johannesburg and Vereeniging are at lows of 13 degrees, peaking at 29. Pretoria, 16 and 30. The top story in EWN this hour. City of Joburg officials are preparing for the reopening of Lilian Ngoyi Street in the CBD this morning, 2 weeks after missing their own deadline for the launch.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Decisions. Every day you make them, from the best strategy to win a case to new business presentations to keep shareholders happy. Now, if only decisions were as easy as, say, choosing a visit to Khaliq's. Khaliq's offer the largest summer styles for business wear, guaranteed to keep you cool. Free tailoring, the best value for money. An incredible bend-over-backwards service. That's Khaliq's. So when you next decide to make a winning call, decide on a visit to Khaliq's. Khaliq's, for the businessman who knows what he wants.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Bree Street being officially reopened today as Lilian Ngoyi. Paving is the new approach to the street. It's no longer tarred. And from the visuals I have seen, it looks clean. It looks like it could be part of, I don't know. I'm thinking Melrose Arch. It just looks so clean. How long will that stay is the question. This early morning judgment in the Pretoria High Court set to determine whether this documentary on convicted rapist and murderer Thabo Bester and his accomplice Nandipha Makutumana will be flighted on Netflix today. Some of the arguments that were made in court were pretty convincing as far as I can tell. I want you to listen to Advocate Thembeka Ncukaitobi explaining that firstly, the pair were aware that this documentary was being made.
It is therefore unacceptable for her at the last minute to turn around and say, I don't know what you are doing. What she has actually done, she was represented by Mr. Mgudlwa, who signed the power of attorney, and they signed that contract under legal advice. Now, at a later stage, she's turned around and changed. So we submit, therefore, that it's fair for Netflix to say, we worked with you along the route. We are now ready to publish, and you should not be allowed to stop us from publishing.
Her argument, of course, was that she thought she'd have the final say. It's not so much that she didn't know, but she thought she would approve or not approve the direction the documentary went to. Advocate Thembeka Ncukaitobi also stressing the fact that some of these issues were already in the public domain. So it's a little bizarre for these two to argue that they are being defamed in any way.
And look at how they deal with this. So they've said Thabo Bester escaped from prison. And again, this is a serious court. We are all adults. The man was serving life in prison. He got out of it. He was not released by the system. So he escaped. Let's not play around. And then when they talk about Dr. Makutumana, they say she surreptitiously left South Africa. And you remember what had happened is that she left the country without using her passport, and that is what is in the bail judgment. Some months later, she was located in Tanzania and brought back to South Africa. And when she was found in Tanzania, she was with Thabo Bester. Before her arrest in Tanzania, the appellant was a fugitive from justice, and a warrant for her arrest had been issued. She subsequently appeared before the Bloemfontein magistrate, who authorized the warrant for her detention at the Bizama Kate Correctional Center in Kroonstad. So that is all facts summarized by the Supreme Court of Appeal. It would be astonishing if the media were prohibited from repeating these facts, which is what that documentary on the parts that have been quoted is suggested to imply, that the man is an escapee and that the lady has aided and abetted the escape.
Simple as that. So we'll find out later this morning if you can turn on your television when you get home later and be able to watch this docu.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Up next, a conversation with Mark Haywood, and I think in part it will be a conversation about the kind of leaders we have chosen to run our country. I came across a most interesting conversation, Amo. This is technology analyst and author Dan Wang, who is of Chinese descent but grew up in America, speaking to Aaron Bastani, comparing how different societies are engineered by the leaders they choose and what backgrounds those leaders come from. He explains that the US is a society that's mostly been crafted by lawyers. If you look at the long history of their presidents and what their careers were before entering politics. But he makes a really fascinating case about China and the kind of society they have built and why it works as it does. Have a listen and just think about South Africa in comparison.
The way I think about China, I call it the engineering state because at various points in the last few decades, the entirety of the Standing Committee of the Politburo, the 9 highest ruling members of the Chinese Communist Party, all of them had degrees in engineering of a very Soviet sort. So these are people who are trained to build, where a mega project is kind of the answer to any number of quandaries that they have. So for the Chinese, there is no problem that cannot be solved with yet another bridge, road, highway, hyperscaler, coal plant, home. And so China is just building its way out of all of its problems.
Yeah? A country built
its ways
and led by engineers.
Out of its problems. I love
just
that.
Building because all their leaders
have an
right?
engineering background.
Yeah. Imagine the ANC top 7 now, I think they are. All of them with degrees in engineering. If they were still the majority party. How different would our society be?
Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
13 minutes after 7, things you need to know at this hour. The police officers who died in the line of duty over the past year will be honored at the Union Buildings on Sunday, with Deputy President Paul Mashatile joining families at an annual commemoration. The Pretoria High Court rules today, as I said earlier, on whether Thabo Bester and Nandipa's Makudumana's bid to block the broadcast of Beauty and the Bester from Netflix will be aired. A French parliamentary committee has recommended a full social media ban for children under 15 and a nighttime digital curfew for teens aged 15 to 18. And on this day, 1944, the soul legend Barry White was born in Texas. So many hits.
Telling me this and telling me that. You say once I'm with you, I'll never go back. You say there's a lesson that you wanna teach. Well, here I am, baby.
Practice what you preach. Can't get enough of your love, babe. You're my my first, my last, my everything. So many hits.
702. Up next.
The Big Interview.
EWN.
14 after 7, this Eyewitness News Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance in partnership with 702. All eyes on Lillian Ngoyi Street. Amo, what's going on there?
Absolutely, Bongani. As you heard on Eyewitness News with our reporter Alpha Ramoshwana on the street, just enjoying the fact that it's reopened to traffic and motorists this morning after undergoing major refurbishment. As a result, it's open between Lovedale and Van Brandes to use this morning. And if you're traveling on the Mayibuye North, we've got bumper-to-bumper traffic between Boyson's Road and Carr Street. Please be on the lookout. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
20 years ago, you were driving to your child's graduation, and 20 years ago, the Outsurance pointsmen were on the roads, easing traffic congestion. So whether you're an Outsurance client or not, we've all been getting something out. Show the Outsurance pointsmen some love this month and celebrate this 20th anniversary using #pointsmanlove from Johannesburg, Tshwane, Paul Stellenbosch. Let's celebrate. Outsurance really means it when they say you always get something out. In proud partnership with 702, Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
Light the fire this game day with a winning lineup from Checkers. Like Championship Boerewors thick or thin for just $109.99 per kilo. Steakhouse Classic man-sized T-bone for only 140 Rand per kilo. And Tate's potato chips 125 grams. Buy any 2 for 32 Rand. Light the fire, South Africa, and let Checkers do the rest. Deals valid until this Sunday, only at Checkers.
Beyond the roads they built, beyond the maps they drew, lies a place only the bold will know, where mountains rise like giants and rivers test your will. With a 2.4-litre turbo diesel and off-road capability, the GWM tank was born for this. Venture further in the Tank 300 from only $7,999 per month. Visit gwm.co.za for T's and C's and to book a test drive. GWM, go with more. Brought to you by GWM Finance, a division of Westbank and authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
Mzansi, the wait is finally over. The great South African sale is here. Explore more for less with up to 50% off travel deals. Surf the waves, hike the hills, enjoy Gasi, and explore the wild. Book from 8 to 14 September 2025. Visit shortleft.co.za to book now and travel later. After all, it's your country. Enjoy it. Because nothing's more fun than a short left. Hashtag TravelWise Mzansi. T's and C's apply.
Be in it to win it by playing Powerball and Powerball Plus for a life-changing 124 million rand in total estimated jackpots this Friday. That's right. Play Powerball for an estimated 64 million rand and Powerball Plus for an estimated 60 million rand today. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529 hash for USSD. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old or play responsibly. E2 is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
For the first time ever, the G20 summit is being hosted on African soil, a global moment of solidarity, equality and sustainability with Africa at the center. So tune in today during breakfast for the G20 Correspondence Desk on 702, brought to you by RMB and FNB, proud sponsors of this year's G20 summit. Get all the latest news, views and insights and breakthroughs from the summit as it happens. The G20 Correspondence Desk on 702, brought to you by RMB and FNB, divisions of First Rand Bank Limited, and authorized financial services and credit provider.
702.
The Big Interview
with Bongani Bingwa.
18 after 7, we must ask the question, have we as a society and as a country, have we become numb to stories about corruption? There are so many that even on their own might topple democratic governments elsewhere in the world. But one after the other, they hit us day after day, and we just move on to react to the next one. And over time, we forget about them, don't we? Well, our next guest says he's angry. He says he's angry at a health system so riddled with corruption, it has claimed the lives of courageous whistleblowers, people like Babita Diokoran. He's angry at the rampant theft at the Gauteng Department of Social Development, where 2 billion rand was wasted on alternative building technology hospitals. Remember the fogging scandal? 500 million rand spent on sanitizing empty schools. The revamping of a hospital in Carltonville, another 500 million rand. The PEE scandals, and so on, and so on, and so on. But over time, these are just stories because we're waiting for the next scandal. Mark Haywood is a long-time social activist in the health space and joins us now this morning. We're talking, of course, on the back of a piece you have written that outlines all of these issues. What does it say about us that we move away from all of these so quickly as if nothing happened?
Good morning, Bongani. Yes, I think it says that we've kind of become inured to each story about corruption. We read it, we express outrage, and we move on. And by moving on, we allow the corruption to continue. You know, I think that corrupt individuals kind of plan that there may be an exposure at some point, a few days of outrage in the media, but if they stand firm and weather the storm, it will go away, and then they can continue with their activities. And that's precisely what has been happening at the Gauteng Health Department since about 2006, 2007. And, you know, by my estimation, Bongani, I put in the article that it's cost 20 billion rand in corruption. In fact, it's probably closer to 30 billion rand. But as importantly or consequentially, it has cost hundreds and hundreds and probably thousands of lives directly and is causing pain and suffering to tens of thousands of people. And I'm just saying we can't allow ourselves to be dehumanized. We can't allow ourselves to lose compassion and empathy with people who are the victims of this type of corruption.
Let's talk about the alternative building technology hospitals.
Yeah.
Hey, what was that about, and where did we get to with that one?
Well, if you remember, at the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, just after the declaration of a state of disaster, there was basically a tender fest, a splurge of massive corruption. Gauteng suddenly decided that it was going to extend its intensive care unit capacity by building what were called alternative building technology hospitals, and it spent about 2.5 billion rand on those hospitals. I investigated it at the time at the Daily Maverick. Those hospitals weren't needed. At least two of those hospitals, one lies was never completed at Kopanong Hospital. And nobody has ever been held to account. They were not necessary. They weren't built properly to specifications. And it's another example of something where individuals were fingered, where corrupt practices were outlined. But really, there's just so much going on that unless somebody keeps an eye on the issue and keeps demanding accountability and action, then we just move on to the next thing. And I believe that the people who are responsible for that are still sitting pretty.
Not only do they sit pretty, Mark, we've often seen where legal issues and litigation arises, taxpayers' money is used to fund their defense. I mean, I remember Bongani Bingwa, the former MEC for Health in Gauteng. I remember her being interviewed by my former colleague at Carte Blanche, Devi Sankri Govender. And she was arrogant then. I would say she remains nonchalant even to this day about the actions she took. And it's not as if she didn't know. It's not as if she wasn't challenged at the time. And not only do these officials get away with what they did, we have to foot their legal bills.
Exactly. So, again, to recap, Bongani Bingwa, at least 144 people died at her hands as a result of closing the Life Esidimeni facility and moving people to NGOs, pop-up NGOs that were just specially created not to care for patients, but to be the recipients of money for the bodies that they took control of. That was 2016. We are in 2025 now, getting to the end of 2025. At last count, Bongani, the Gauteng Health Department, by its own admission, had spent 77 million rand on legal fees to defend Bongani Bingwa in the arbitration and then in the inquest. But I have to stress that's at last count. My guess is that that's probably close to 100 million rand. And my question now is, if Bongani Bingwa gets charged with culpable homicide later this year by the NPA, will we once again be paying for her extremely expensive legal defense? Meanwhile, you have 3,000 people living with cancer on a radiation oncology waiting list whose suffering is being drawn out because the Gauteng Health Department is using legal technicalities to delay or prevent the implementation of a court order that tells it to provide them all with treatment. I mean, it's just disgusting.
Two questions quickly, Mark. Firstly, there are a lot of people who think, who've bought into the idea that, all of these things ended with state capture. Many of the examples I think we've just reflected on happened long after Zuma was no longer in office.
Yeah.
It's not over, is it?
It's not over at all. I mean, the Gauteng Health Department is a captured health department. It has been repurposed so that it can also serve corrupt interests and it can be used to extract hundreds of millions of rands. So the capture of that department is intact. There is no doubt about it. But it's true of other Gauteng departments and probably other departments across the country. I mentioned the Department of Social Development. Again, I did an investigation at the Daily Maverick last year, where we saw that over a period, again, of probably about 10 years, tens of millions of rands of money that was meant to be going to children's home, to mental health care facilities, to homeless people, to food support programs, etc., is being skimmed off. So state capture or departmental capture or corrupt capture or whatever you want to call it is alive and well, and we allow it to continue because basically we kind of fold our hands and say there's nothing we can do about this.
So what can we do?
Well, I think we have to, as citizens, get organized. You know, the NPA, the SIU, the Hawks are now doing a great deal more, and you may have seen overnight that one of the Tembisa tender dons has just been pounced on by the assets forfeiture unit, Hangwani Maumela, who seems to have picked up hundreds of millions of rands from Tembisa Hospital. But, you know, we need to report corruption. We are busy forming a new anti-corruption network in Gauteng, calling it the Babita Deokaran Anti-Corruption Network. So there's lots of little things that citizens can do to monitor, to report, to try to build a different type of ethic of public service. And there's lots of things that we, Bongani, being people who work in provincial government departments, can also do to insist that we are there to serve the public and that we are good public servants rather than part of this this corrupt gangs.
Right, you and I will continue talking in the coming weeks and months about some of the work that is being done and how those networks will come together. Health and social activist Mark Haywood. But just reflecting on some of those stories, doesn't it make your stomach turn?
EWN Traffic.
28 after 7, this EWN Traffic is brought to you by South African Airways. New flights from Johannesburg to Gaborone with South African Airways. Book now at flysaa.com.
Well, Bongani, if you're traveling on the N3 South, we've got a major accident scene right near Morafontein Road. Delays from Vincent Chabalala Street. The N3 North is also backed up as a result from the Kiluli's interchange to Morafontein Road. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
South African Airways is making it easier to travel this season with more flights to Lagos, Accra, and Sao Paulo. Enjoy more choice, more convenience, and the warm African hospitality you know from SAA. Book now at flysaa.com.
EWN Business.
Right, this business report proudly sponsored by GIC. Through infrastructure-related projects, GIC sets a better standard of living. GIC, changing lives. Matteo, let's talk mining. Production in South Africa rising 4.4% from a year ago in July 2025. That's good news.
Yeah, it's been a good time for the sector in terms of production. This marks the third consecutive month of increases in mining activity and the strongest since last September. Now, the largest positive contributors were the platinum group metals at 16.8%, gold also having a good year, up 3.7%. On a monthly basis, mining output rose 1% in July. Now, this bodes well for South Africa's GDP numbers that are still heavily reliant on the sector. The South African mining sector contributing approximately 6% of the country's GDP in 2024, representing about 433 billion rand. Now, although steady, that particular number still well below the 8% contribution recorded in 2012.
Good times for Discovery.
Yeah, the financial services business says its headline earnings and normalized headline earnings per share, basically its profit increasing by 30% to 9.6 and 9.8 billion rand respectively. Discovery South Africa saw a 22% growth in normalized profit from operations over the period, and also saying Discovery Bank having a good year, reporting its first profit.
They've discovered the good times, eh?
The good times.
So we'll make a discovery about the rand. Where is it?
17 Rand 37, not the best discovery, going flat against the US dollar this morning. 20 Rand 36 cents against the euro and 23 Rand 53 cents against the British pound. Price of gold at $3,655 an ounce, or platinum is also in the good at $1,399. Brent crude keeping low, $65.90 a barrel. More business after 8.
Change requires skill, an agile body to fill the gaps. But real change moves collaboratively, progressively, enabling, because it knows what to do and how to improve the lives of the deserving. Through infrastructure-related projects, GIC actively brings change for the better, because real change sets a standard of living, of being. GIC, changing lives. EWN Traffic.
All right, this eyewitness news traffic is brought to you by Outsurance in partnership with 702. Amo?
Well, Bongani, that accident in Edenville along Motorfontein Road right near the N3, it's causing heavy traffic volumes. Please be on the lookout there. While in the Joburg CBD, ease of traffic this morning along Lilian Ngoyi Street as it has been reopened to traffic following years of refurbishment. It's opened between Loveday Street and Van Brandis Street. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
There are 1,500 reasons to get an Outsurance car insurance quote today. You heard it here. If Outsurance can't beat your car insurance premium, you can ask them for 500 Rand cash. 1,500 Rand if you've been claim-free with the same insurer for 3 years. Savings or cash, you always get something out. Get a quick and easy quote today. Call 08600 60,000 or visit outsurance.co.za. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and information online. And that's where we start off things in the news. Sfiso Zulu, no more Bree Street.
That's right, Bongani. Lilian Ngoyi Street in the Johannesburg CBD has officially been opened this morning after it was closed for 2 years. Formerly known as Bree, the busy roadway was destroyed in 2023 following a massive underground gas pipe explosion. Repairs faced repeated delays, largely due to disputes with the first company contracted for the project. Pedestrians and motorists using the road say they are excited.
Today I'm very happy, I'm very proud because I'm staying here next to the Bree Street, so it's long time. So today I'm celebrating for this Bree Street Lilian Ngoyi.
Activists are calling for the immediate suspension of a primary school principal in Pretoria for not taking action after an alleged rape of a pupil was reported. It's understood that the grade 7 pupil from Tlotlompo Primary School in Garankuwa was raped by a bus driver who also allegedly recorded a video of the sexual assault. The social justice group Forum for South Africa says the principal was warned about the 25-year-old bus driver's inappropriate behavior last year but failed to deal with him. Spokesperson Debuho Mashilompane says the organization demands an immediate investigation into both the driver and the principal.
FOSA also emphasizes that all individuals working with children must be properly vetted and questions why proper vetting was not carried out in this case. We demand that law enforcement conduct a 24-hour search for the suspect Lawrence Mtlan, who must be arrested immediately and face the full consequences of the law.
Annabella Rungo, the mother of former Miss South Africa finalist Chidima Adechina, will be back in the Cape Town Magistrates Court today in connection with her identity fraud case. The matter was postponed in May to allow the state to conduct further investigations. Rungo, a Mozambican national, was arrested in February this year. Kaylin Pretorius has the story.
The Department of Home Affairs had revoked Annabella Rungo's South African identification document after discovering she had obtained it fraudulently. She was subsequently arrested in February for staying in the country despite not having a valid ID since September last year. During her last court appearance in May, Rungo had asked the court to relax her bail conditions. She told the court the strict bail conditions had taken a toll on her mental health. Stephanie Desade de Bandi is part of Rungo's legal team and says her client has complied with all her bail conditions.
The court recently uplifted her complete house arrest and replaced it with a 9 p.m. curfew. This adjustment has, of course, made her day-to-day life a little more bearable, and she's grateful for that, though, of course, she still faces significant restrictions.
She adds the team believes they do have a strong case to secure Rungo's acquittal. Kaylin Pretorius, Eyewitness News.
And in Brazil, the lawyers of the former president Jair Bolsonaro say they will appeal his 27-year prison sentence, including at international level, after he was found guilty of plotting a military coup. 4 out of the 5 Supreme Court justices found him guilty, while 1 judge voted to acquit him. The 70-year-old has been convicted of leading a conspiracy aimed at keeping him in power after he lost the 2022 election to his left-wing rival, Luiz Inácio Inácio Lula da Silva. While the plot failed to enlist enough support from the military to go ahead, it did culminate in the storming of government buildings by Bolsonaro supporters in 2023. His lawyers consider the sentences handed down to be incredibly excessive. A partly cloudy Friday in store for Gauteng today. The temperatures are at lows of 13 and 16 degrees, peaking at highs between 29 and 30.
And in the traffic in Sharon Lee, there's been an accident on Malibongwe Drive. It's right near the N1. It's causing delays coming out of Northumberland Avenue. While traveling on the N3 South, more delays between Vincent Chabalala Road and the Kilulis interchange due to another accident.
The top story this hour, Lilian Ngoyi Street in the Joburg CBD has officially been opened this morning after it was closed for 2 years.
Okay, truck 7, that has 0 warning lights. Truck 8, it's just been serviced. I guess we're running like a well-oiled machine. Where would I be without MyWay's comprehensive cover for my vans and trucks? Plus, cover for my customers' orders with goods and transit insurance. I guess we'll never know.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. MyWay is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. MyWay. Live your way.
Do you know what's hiding behind colorful packaging of unhealthy food? Big food companies target children with unhealthy packaged foods that hide high levels of sugar, salt, and fat, which could lead to heart disease, diabetes, and hypertension. But the truth is hidden from consumers. Front of package warning labels are a proven solution to help consumers make informed decisions. The government must act now. We have the right to know what's in our food. Demand front of package warning labels. Sign the petition on heala.org, HEALA.org by 30 September.
Spar brings you super savings. Get 1 kg D-Lite 37% fat spread tub, $34.99. Save R8 with Spar Rewards. Or 1 kg Spar French, chili, garlic or chicken polony for $34.99 with Spar Rewards. Plus, you could win your share of 6 million rand in instant cash. Price is valid until 22 September 2025. While stocks last. T's and C's apply.
702. WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Happy Friday, Mr. Bingwa and 702 lenders. Mr. Bingwa, the way you're cracking me, I just said, car. Thanks for a great show. Tempo in Boxback.
Bongani, when I saw those that concrete on Bree Street, I just thought, way, amapharazo zazokhipha my bricks. Angazi bazowenza party. I don't think that was a good idea.
Morning, 702 Land, Wesley here. I'm so chuffed that the Bree Street, Lilian Ngoyi Street is being opened again. But I'd also like to find out, did they find anything interesting when they were going underneath? Because, I mean, there are layers and layers and layers of Johannesburg there. Was there anything interesting, or was it just a whole mess of pipes and stuff like that? Have a fantastic day.
I wonder if they would have thought to invite people to explain it. I mean, I don't know. Would archaeologists then be the people to tell us what might be underneath in terms of the layers and layers of Johannesburg? I wonder if that would have even occurred to the officials to do so. But nonetheless, we are here. It's been closed off. It looks really pretty, I must say, from the visuals I have seen. But as that one voice note suggests, how soon before vandals come and pull out those bricks? And maybe it's the kind of thing Mark Hayward was alluding to, that we as a society all have to stand up and say no. When you see wrongdoing, you say no. You call it out and you say, don't do that. When you see people litter, it could be something as simple as littering. You know, I spoke a few months ago of driving behind a police van, and the officers inside were hoying out cans. And I drove up to them because it was a 2-lane street. And I drove up to them and I rolled down my left window and I said, hold on, officer, if you are the one doing this, what are we going to do? And he was bashful, was a little embarrassed, and he said, sorry. And hopefully, let me tell myself a story. hopefully he'll never do it again.
702.
What's the question?
What's the question is brought to you by Outsurance. Your chance to win up to 3,000 Rand in cash. So first we've got 1,000 Rand for the answer and then 2,000 Rand for the question. So somebody will give us an answer and then everybody else must try and give us a question that would lead to that answer. What fun, hey? All for money. SMS out to 45142 and you could save on your car insurance. So let's go get that answer in Sandton. Takalani is there. Takalani, give us today's answer.
Practice what you preach.
Practice what you preach. Wouldn't that be lovely for all of us, hey? Takalani, tell me, have you got yourself a quote from Outsurance?
Yes.
You biscuit. You absolute biscuit. 1,000 Rand is coming your way. All thanks to Outsurance and 702. Thank you. So there you have it. Takalani says, practice what you preach. If that's the answer, what's the question? Call us if you know on 011 883 0702.
EWN Sport.
18 to 8. This EWN Sport is brought to you by RMB Corporate Banking. Ready, set, cash flow. Mawande.
Thank you, Bongani. Well, Springbok coach Rassie Erasmus will give his players license to express themselves freely in their rugby championship rematch with the All Blacks tomorrow. Erasmus selected two creative playmakers in Sasha van Ngomezulu and Damian Willemse at fly half and centre, respectively, indicating that he would be deviating a bit from the Boks' traditional style of play against their arch rivals. And Willemse, who is relishing a first start in the number 12 jersey, says the freedom will come with responsibilities and key decisions to make.
We've got a test match that we want to win, and expressing yourself is not always playing flashy rugby. We can expect, obviously, a very physical and hard test match, and everything it always gives us, South Africa versus New Zealand kind of test match. If there's opportunity and it presents itself and we take it, that is expressing yourself. We're really focused on those small moments and making sure that we're really dialed in for when opportunity presents itself.
All right, so here's a question for you, Mawande. I mean, I watched last Saturday's game with a whole bunch of Springbok supporters, and you can imagine how crushed we were. We were at a leadership seminar, and then we had to go back to class and try and concentrate and have happy faces and be grateful to be where we were. Rassie wins games. He's the genius that we've all called him these last few years. He loses a game against the All Blacks in the context of 4 victories, right, in a trot. And then suddenly all this experimentation he's been doing, how arrogant his changes have been. This box side is not settling now because What's your take?
It's a funny thing that always comes about with rugby fans in South Africa. And there's a little bit of fickleness and a little bit of being spoilt because of that. Rassie's the all-knowing genius when he wins, and with the experimentation and with the funny moves and the line-out maul in the middle of the field and the like. But when it doesn't go well, suddenly, why is Rassie doing this? And that's why South African rugby is quick to go back to the traditional style of play, that hard bashing forward, physical oriented rugby, which is what happened after the loss at Ellis Park earlier this year, I think last month in July. And that game, funnily enough, the first 20 minutes was the best I've seen the Springboks play in a really, really long time. And if it stuck with that game plan, for instance, I don't know, maybe it would be a little bit further today.
So Wellington?
Yeah, dry weather conditions expected tomorrow.
So no rain, something a little familiar to us.
Yeah, so it would be conducive for a little bit of running rugby, which probably would be a more exciting game.
Your money's on?
Springboks for this one,
of course.
Weirdly. Well, in some sad news, though, former Springbok fullback Bevan Fortuin has died at the age of 46. He played in 2 test matches for the Boks in 2006 and was part of the Free State Cheetahs team that won 3 Currie Cup titles in a row in the mid-2000s. Well, the Springbok women are preparing for their first ever Rugby World Cup quarter-final against New Zealand's Black Ferns. Captain Nolusindiso Boy returns to the starting lineup along with star fly-half Libby Janssen van Rensburg and wing Ayanda Malinga, as coach Swys de Bruin made 10 changes to the side that played in their final pool game against France last weekend. De Bruin has also opted for a 7-1 split on the bench and is confident that his players will be up for the challenge.
Everything worked out for our benefit up to now. We had the opportunity to rest 8 to 9 players. They're all fresh now for this big hurdle that's ahead of us. It was a calculated risk, but it paid off. If we would have played them in the previous game, I think, and with a 5-day, 6-day turnaround, it would have been much tougher to recover. So we're hungry, we're ready.
Kickoff in that one is at 2 p.m. And Manchester United goalkeeper Andre Onana will spend the rest of the season out on loan to Turkish club Trabzonspor. Coach Ruben Amorim has lost faith in Onana after a string of embarrassing errors last season, which made him the subject of ridicule. And the arrival of a new keeper, Sané Lemens, during the transfer window also signalled the end of the road for Onana at Old Trafford. Mawande Mateza, Eyewitness News Sport.
Feeling some lag in Sector 3?
Copy. Optimizing working capital. Ready. You're approaching a tight corner. Cash flow pressure ahead.
Low on liquidity. Supply pressure is building. Set.
Deploying cash injection in 3, 2, 1, flow.
Nice move. Better supply chain control.
Lab time advantage. Faster cash cycles, leaner inventory, and optimized working capital.
Ready, set, cash flow. Corporate banking from RMB. RMB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized FSP and credit provider.
Avijozi 2025 is back. Creativity and technology meet. Join us at Summer Place in Hyde Park, Johannesburg from the 13th to the 14th of September for cutting-edge masterclasses, workshops, live demos in film, animation, VFX, AI, gaming and interactive tech. This year's theme, Heart of Steel, celebrates bold creators striving in the age of AI and disruption. Expect local and international experts to share their knowledge in workshops, tech showcases, game jams, portfolio reviews, and interactive sessions. And it's completely free. Just register now at avijozi.com.
Dreaming of your next getaway? Whether it's a sun-soaked beach escape, adventure-packed tour, or luxury cruise, Flight Centre is your go-to for travel. From flights and hotels to tours and cruises, we've got it all. Plus travel insurance for peace of mind. If you want the best deals, you can save more by taking advantage of our Bundle Plus Save offer. Plan your trip today at your nearest Flight Centre store or visit flightcentre.co.za. Flight Centre, your centre for travel.
Running a business is tough. You need tools that just work. That's why more South African businesses are switching to Mac. At iStore, we make it easy with 4,000 rands in added value when you switch. That's 3 years extended warranty and remote tech support, leaving you to focus on everything else. Switch to Mac with iStore, your expert partner. T's and C's apply. Mac at iStore. Run smooth as business should.
EWN Traffic.
12 to 8, this EWN Traffic is brought to you by the Mpumalanga Tourism and Parks Agency. Mpumalanga, the place of the rising sun. There's a crash in Sharon Lee. Amo?
That's correct, Bongani. It's right on Mayibuye Drive, right near the N1. It's causing heavy traffic volumes coming out of Witkoppen Road. Please be on the lookout there. There's also queuing traffic along the N1 South as you come out of Rivonia Road towards Winnie Mandela Drive. And traveling in Edenville, an accident on the N3 South that happened near Morfontein Road. It's slowing down traffic. Please be on the lookout there and drive with care. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Explore the wonders of Mpumalanga. Discover the ultimate wildlife experience, bringing you closer to nature. Get your adrenaline rush with endless adventure activities, exploring breathtaking 4x4 routes, hiking the Blyde River Canyon, the third largest in the world. Unwind with spectacular landscapes and majestic waterfalls. Make Mpumalanga your destination of choice. Mpumalanga, embrace the unknown. Live the adventure. This is a message brought to you by the Mpumalanga Tourism and Parks Agency. Mpumalanga, the place of the rising sun. Visit mpumalanga.com for more information.
702.
What's the question?
For 2,000 Rand in cash, all thanks to Outsurance. Please tell me what's the question. If the answer is practice what you preach. Let's go to, is it Evan in Randburg?
Hi, it's Evan. Hi, Bongani.
Evan, how are you doing? Good. Evan, what's the question?
The question is, what is the name of the song sung by the legendary Barry White who celebrates his birthday today?
Yes, indeed. He would have celebrated his birthday today. Are you a Barry White fan, Evan?
I love him. Yeah, I love him to bits.
Favorite song?
Can't get enough of you, baby.
Can't get enough of you, baby. Well, I tell you what, we can't get enough of you, Evan. 2,000 Rand is coming your way, all thanks to Outsurance and 702. Indeed, Barry White posthumously celebrating his birthday today.
Telling me this and telling me that. You say once I'm with you, I'll never go back. You say there's a lesson that you want to teach. Well, here I am, baby. Practice what you preach.
to give you some facts about Barry White. He never learned how to read or write music, but he taught himself to play the piano by the age of 5. And he said he learned how to harmonize from his mother. Practice What You Preach was his big comeback hit in 1995. It reached the top 20 in both the US and the UK. It became his biggest single in America in 17 years. Co-written by Barry White himself, and you can hear the sound of the late Gerald Levert, who was also a co-writer of this song. And if you think you can count me on, oh, you keep. Oh man, oh man, oh man. There's an idea for Kenny. Hey? Will you play the song, Kenny? Are you listening? Signing the register.
I was in another insurance company and I wasn't happy. One of my colleagues was also without insurance and she was happy. My niece is without insurance and she's happy. Then I just decided I wanted that happiness.
What was the real deal they could offer you?
870.
Every month?
Every month.
That's amazing. You're always getting something out.
Yeah.
Go to outsurance.co.za now for a 10-minute quote that could save you thousands.
What brought you and Outsurance together?
Let me just jump on the call with them. Let me just see what's happening. He asked a lot of things about my vehicle, my sexy vehicle over here.
Ooh.
Yeah. And to my surprise, 718 Rand I end up saving. And this awesome product called Panic Assist. 24-hour security if we need their help. Thinking I'm a father, I need to look out for my family.
Absolutely. They gave you the real deal.
It literally is the real deal.
Go to outsurance.co.za now for a 10-minute quote that could save you thousands. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and information online.
Medical care, like music, needs continuity, a steady rhythm and pattern, patients attended to on time, medication taken as prescribed. Cut the rhythm, and it falls apart. Right now, global funding cuts are restricting access to healthcare. With your support, Doctors Without Borders can continue to provide medical care to communities worldwide. Because medicine, like music, only works when uninterrupted. Doctors Without Borders, we go there.
Away, could I courier this pair of custom flame graffiti chucks? One of a kind, bruh.
Sure, fire. Where your guy, my guy?
My recipe book with all my secrets.
Those secrets are safe with us. We're your guy.
Can I send my beanbag chair? It's shaped like a fat cook.
Of course you can. We're your guy. With over 4,000 fast and flexible ways of couriering your parcel locally and internationally, whatever you need couriered, we're your guy. The Courier Guy. Visit thecourierguy.co.za.
Time to review my favorite employee, my F&B Gold business account. You give me thousands of potential customers by listing my business on NAV Marketplace and access to Guard Me, a bodyguard for cash drops, locking up. No other card does this. If you weren't a bank card, I'd give you a raise.
The F&B Gold business account. No other card works harder for your business because your safety is worth it. F&B, help changes everything. T's and C's apply. F&B, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized FSP and credit provider.
702. WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Bongani, you know, I think if Ramaphosa can be secretly asked, do you still want to continue being a president of South Africa? I think he'll say, I just want to run my businesses. I'm tired. Because he's been told what to do. And let me tell you, we're blaming him. He doesn't have power. He's been told what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. Shemrami. Thank you very much.
Tarua, what's that TikTok content creator from KZN? Gazangai Sola. Remember that guy who essentially says, you know, it's an expression to say you regret doing something. I don't know if he doesn't have power. I think the Constitution gives him quite a bit. Whether he still wants to do the job, as Julius Malema often reminds us, in the wake of the Phala Phala scandal, there was a resignation letter that had been written, and it took Gweda Mantashe to convince him to say, no, we can fight this thing. So how is your heart in it if at one point you considered leaving it?
702.
702. What's gone viral?
With Kabazela.
Kabazela.
Good morning to you, Belle.
And say it with me.
Always good on a Friday.
Especially when you find that
Listen,
show.
just a quick one. Some feedback for you. We spoke about yesterday, that youngster with the maths literacy.
Yes.
He did that test. He posted an update on his TikTok. And he actually took the YouTube feed that you guys feed every morning. He got 70%, by the way. 70%. So well done.
Brilliant.
Well
brilliant.
done.
Well done. Well done. Please send me the link to that video. Please send me the link to that
I
video.
will,
and
I
maybe
will.
can also, and maybe you can also post it so that our listeners can catch up with what he had to say, and maybe get him some followers.
I shall do so.
Poor thing. All right. I was saying it's always good on a Friday, especially if you find that show that puts you to sleep.
Yeah, so this guy on TikTok, he talks about neuroscience and all that kind of thing. And apparently many people around the world fall asleep at night with the Golden Girls playing in the background. And he explains why. So let's take a listen.
You're not alone. Millions of people fall asleep to Golden Girls every night. And there's actual neuroscience explaining why Dorothy, Rose, Blanche, and Sophia are your brain's Ambien. First, the parasocial safety effect. These are older women with zero threat potential. Your amygdala categorizes them as safe matriarchs. Your nervous system literally thinks you're sleeping, protected by grandmas. No danger, only cheesecake and wisdom. Second, perfect audio frequencies. Their voices hit the exact range that triggers your parasympathetic nervous system. The laugh track provides rhythmic white noise. The 80s audio quality has no jarring bass or sharp highs. It's basically ASMR disguised as comedy. But here's the real magic. Predictable conflict resolution. Every episode, small problem, resolution, cheesecake. Your brain knows everything will be okay in 22 minutes. No cliffhangers, no anxiety, just guaranteed comfort. Your nervous system can actually rest because the stakes are beautifully low.
Thank you for being a
So
friend.
I like the third bit he mentioned about the predictability and you kind of know what to expect. There's no like cliffhangers with the Golden Girls. So I wanted to ask our 702 family this morning, if you happen to fall asleep with something on at night, what is the show that you go to? And it's probably the same show every night. Or maybe there's a show that you pick and you play at home just in the background. So you're not really watching it, but you got it on just for some white noise or whatever it may be. For us at home, it's The Office, the US version.
For me, it's late night news. That's what's gone viral with Kabazela.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by the new Opel Grandland with smart tech and striking design. It's German engineering on a grand scale. Test drive one today at your nearest Opel dealer. Amo?
Well, Bongani, we've got some delays reported on the N3 South right near Linksfield Road. An accident is reported there, causing delays coming out of Vincent Chabalala Street. There's also queuing traffic in Sharon Lee along Malibongwe Drive, just as you approach the N1 exit due to another accident scene. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Don't ever settle for great. You know that great feeling after nailing a big presentation? Imagine upgrading that. I'm talking driving home with your car's massage seat, practically high-fiving your bum. Headlights so bright, you feel like the star your boss said you were. Arriving home, making an entrance, grander than your slide transitions. Go grand in the new Opel Grandland, designed and made in Germany. Visit opel.co.za for more.
Opel Grandland. Business Outsurance are experts in business insurance for real estate agencies, law firms, computer services, and more. Jacqueline?
We saved a lot of money when we switched over from another insurance company to Business Outsurance. We've had some claims and they were friendly and efficient and paid out when they promised.
Switch to Business Outsurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Visit outsurance.co.za. Switch and save today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
In ancient Corinth, as Alexander the Great approached the philosopher Diogenes and offered to grant him any wish, Diogenes simply replied, stand a little out of my sun. At Plus 94 Research, we believe in illuminating the path to informed decisions. By removing the shadows of uncertainty, we let the light of data-driven insights shine through. Don't let assumptions cloud your vision. Step into the light of clarity. Plus 94 Research, the science of decision-making.
The Johannesburg Philharmonic Orchestra presents its Symphonic Jazz Festival. Enjoy iconic South African jazz with full orchestra, big band, and rhythm section led by Marcus Wyatt. Featuring a stellar lineup of artists. Linda Auditorium on 24 September, 7:30 p.m. Tickets at Quicket.
This is EWN.
Business owners breathe a sigh of relief at the opening of Lilian Ngoyi Street. We go live for the excitement.
So I'm very much happy and I hope our business will be good. We have been suffering a lot last 2 years.
And in just half an hour, Netflix will find out if it can release Beauty and the Beast. Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Motorists have started using Lilian Ngoyi Street after it was officially opened this morning following a 2-year closure. Formerly known as Bree Street, the busy roadway was destroyed in July 2023 after a massive underground gas pipe explosion. Repairs faced repeated delays, largely due to disputes with the first company contracted for the project. Alpha Ramushwana is on Lilian Ngoyi this morning and joins us now live. Alpha, I can imagine this is a relief for many people there.
Of course, Ciso. Over the past 2 years, pedestrians and motorists had to find alternative routes instead of using Lilian Ngoyi Street. And this disruption had a direct impact on businesses along the street, with some even forced to close their doors due to a lack of customers. Well, Ciso, I spoke to Shabuz Islam, who owns a clothing store on the street, and he was among the first to reopen his business this morning shortly after the road reopened. He says the past 2 years have been challenging, but is glad that things are finally returning to normal.
So I'm very much happy and I hope our business will be good. We have been suffering a lot last 2 years.
What do you mean you were suffering?
Because there is no customer. We have to pay rent. We have a house rent. We're paying for people. I take myself. So we finish slow our stock for the shop.
While Sfiso residents living in buildings along the street have been expressing joy at seeing the road fully operational after 2 years of being disturbed by construction noise. For Eyewitness News, I'm Alpha Ramshwana on Lilian Ngoyi Street in Johannesburg CBD.
The Gqeberha High Court will today reopen the inquest into the death of anti-apartheid activist Steve Biko on the 48th anniversary of his killing. Biko died in 1977 in a police cell after a month of his imprisonment. The purpose of the inquest is to present evidence that will enable the court to make a finding on whether the death was caused by someone's failure to prevent it. Jabulile Mbata takes a look.
Steve Biko was the founder and leader of the Black Consciousness Movement, which encouraged Black South Africans to reject the idea of white supremacy. In 1977, he was arrested in Makhanda, Eastern Cape, for violating a ban restricting his movements. He was tortured by apartheid police and shackled until he was hospitalized and later dying at the age of 30. His cause of death was recorded as extensive brain injury. In 1977, an inquest was opened and the former cops claimed Biko hit his head against the wall, causing his death, a version that was accepted by the courts. However, later, during the TRC, the officers and health practitioners that treated Biko admitted they had lied to the court about the version of events, and because of this, the commission refused them amnesty. Today, the NPA will reopen the inquest in the Gqeberha High Court. NPA spokesperson Luxolo Jali.
It is imperative that this inquisitorial exercise is embarked upon again so that the family and the society at large may find closure.
Jabulile Mbata, Eyewitness News.
In Pretoria, an early morning judgment in the High Court is set to determine whether a documentary of convicted rapist and murderer Thabo Bester and his accomplice Nandipha Makutumana will be flighted today. The pair approached the court on an urgent basis yesterday to temporarily interdict the release of the production. They want the documentary to only be released after the trial into Bester's brazen escape from the Mangaung private prison. Bester, who is a convicted rapist and murderer, was arrested arrested with Makudumana while on the run in Tanzania in 2023. Khomotso Modisa reports.
The judgment on Thabo Bester and Nandipha Makudumana's interdict application is set to be handed down at 8:30 this morning, just half an hour before the documentary is scheduled for release. Bester's lawyer advocate Muafrika Maila has argued that the docu-series titled Beauty and the Bester has brought serious defamation against him.
So it means that in the nearer future, we are likely to have a situation whereby when kids are asked, what do you know? They won't say the Beauty and the Beast as we knew in the literature of English ourselves, who grew up during that time. They will say the Beauty and the Bester, meaning that the beast has been replaced by a certain individual. Now we have a beast in person and personified into the person of Thabo Bester.
Netflix has asked for the application to be dismissed with costs. Khomotso Modise, Eyewitness News at the Pretoria High Court.
And Zambia's government says it will seek more compensation for communities affected by a toxic spill from a Chinese-owned copper mine if this is needed following a full assessment. The spill of highly acidic mine waste laden with toxic heavy metals happened in February when a dam that held waste collapsed, polluting an important river that is a major source of drinking water. The firm apologized and pledged to compensate the victims, but Zambia's vice president said that this may not be enough, adding that the safety of Zambians is non-negotiable. Gold is trading at $3,649.80 an ounce. The rand is at 17.35 to the dollar, 23.53 to the pound, 20.35 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $66.04 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got some delays on the N3 South between Vincent Chabalala Street and Linksfield Road due to an accident. There's also queuing traffic along the N1 South between Rivonia Road and Winnie Mandela Drive.
And in sport, the Springbok men's and women's teams have a big weekend ahead in their respective test matches in the Rugby Championship and Rugby World Cup. The MTN 8 final takes centre stage in local football as Orlando Pirates take on Stellenbosch FC. And the series win is on the line when the Proteas play England in their second T20 match tonight.
A partly cloudy Friday in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 29 and 30 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. Motorists have started using Lilian Ngoyi Street this morning after it was officially opened following a 2-year closure.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Nine minutes after 8 o'clock, you're listening to 702 Breakfast. Do yourself a favor. Go to Prime Media Plus. Go to our app. Go to the 702 section. And if you missed our big interview this morning, I really want you to give it a good listen. We spoke to the activist Mark Haywood. And he's written a piece in which he and Dr. Alex van der Heever outline a number of scandals in South Africa in recent times. From the fogging of empty schools to these alternative technology hospitals that were meant to serve for COVID. The pandemic essentially launched a feeding frenzy. Think of that word that was used by Zwelinzima Mavavi all those years ago, right? These hyenas. That's exactly what they were. They gorged themselves on public money and didn't care about people dying because all they saw was an opportunity to enrich themselves. And there are many of these scandals. We can't be a country that moves on so quickly.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
10 after 8, Prince Mashele says, look at this guy. He doesn't want this job any longer. Is that your assessment of the president when you see him? Do you see somebody who is tired, who is browbeaten, who's just day after day after day after day. The fact that the president defended the army chief who went to Iran in the midst of sensitive negotiations, that he, the president, has spent a lot of his personal capital to ensure succeed. He has sent envoy after envoy. He's put together teams. They've briefed him continuously. He thinks he can be the change. He went to the Oval Office even after Zelensky was humiliated, and there was every expectation that he might too. But he risked his legacy, never mind his reputation, his legacy on that visit. So you can't tell me he doesn't care about the outcome of those trade talks. And then we have his defense chief who goes to Iran, says these obtuse statements that are inflammatory. And to this day, the president has not only not condemned him, this week in Parliament he defended him. Prince says, what parcel was he carrying for the president? That might be taking it too far. But is it your sense that he still enjoys the job? That he thrives? I mean, do you remember Thabo Mbeki? Now, you might disagree him on a number of things because we tend to want to whitewash his record. But at no point could you say he wasn't enjoying the job. Jacob Zuma. Remember when they were pushing him out? And he said, no, I can't go because I've got to go on a tour of Africa and introduce Ramaphosa to all these. I'm friends with all of them, you see. Jacob Zuma clung on for dear life to that presidency. You think this is what our guy is doing now? Let us know.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Hi, Bongani. You still haven't told us how to spell biscuit. Jimmy here listening from Rwanda.
How to spell biscuit? How to spell biscuit? Why is that a thing?
What have you guys been talking about since
I don't
I've
know.
been away?
Biscuit.
You biscuit.
Yes, you tell me what you've been talking about since away. BISCUIT. Unless there's something I'm missing. All eyes, of course, on the Pretoria High Court and its decision on whether or not Netflix can air that documentary. What is it? Beauty and the Bester.
That's correct.
Beauty and the Bester.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to listen to the arguments that were made in favor, because I played you, of course, a little earlier on what the Netflix advocate Ngugaitobi was saying. Do you want to hear some of the arguments that were made by the other side? Have a listen.
There is this statement that he escaped. My lady, there are many ways to come out of prison, which it should be proved in trial court. There are many ways. We don't know if he got a parole. We don't know if there are many ways to be released out of prison. It's not always an escape. I am saying presumably he got a parole that will be proved in a trial court. It's not always a case that he escaped.
You know, this is a serious court. We are all adults. The man was serving life in prison.
So that's the context of the earlier clip that we played. Ngugaitobi was responding to Thabo Bester's legal counsel, who says, how do we know he escaped? Maybe he was on parole. There are many ways for somebody to get out of jail. You can't just always say they escaped. Have you ever been in an argument? That's why Ngugaitobi says, man, we're all adults. Right? Have you ever been in an argument with somebody and you're like, huh? That doesn't even make sense.
That time you feel like you prepared for this argument, nights on end, preparing for this, and this is an argument you're going to get.
But now, whatever Ngugaitobi thought he was facing, I don't think he thought Thabo Bester's lawyer is going to say. But how do you know he escaped? It
must be proven.
You must prove that he escaped. Like, where do you begin? I suspect we'll all be watching Netflix a little later today.
EWN Traffic.
It's 8:15. I'm Ramila. Let's catch up with the roads. It is a Friday.
It is indeed an excitement abuzz in the CBD this morning as Lilian Ngoyi reopens to motorists, pedestrians, as well as the people that are owning shops within the street. It's opened between Love Day and the Van Brandis Road, so please be free to use the road once more. And if you're traveling in Edenville, we've got an accident reported on the N3 South. It's right near Linksfield Road, and it's causing delays coming out of Vincent Chabalala Street. There's another one in Sharonley along Malibongwe Drive, delays between the Witkoppen Road exit and the N1. Please be on the lookout and keep driving with care. More updates coming up.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with Bongani Bingwa.
7:02 weekday mornings, 6 to 9 a.m.
The G20 Correspondence Desk on 702 is proudly brought to you by RMB and FNB, divisions of First Rand Bank Limited. Hosted on the continent for the first time, the G20 this year will focus on solidarity, equality and sustainability, bringing you news and insights from the summit. And so tune in to the G20 Correspondence Desk over the next few weeks and months. Proudly brought to you by RMB and FNB. Guided by the spirit of Ubuntu, RMB and FNB empower communities committed to a sustainable future and are deeply invested in humanity. Nokukanya Mdambo is, of course, our G20 Correspondence Desk reporter, part of the EWN team. Nokukanya, pleasure to chat to you. I suppose the thing to do is to keep on looking at the key developments shaping the conversations as we get closer and closer to the actual summit.
Yeah, that's right. Good morning, Bongani, and to the listeners as well. What was actually interesting from this week, especially Bongani, is the reflection by Stats SA when we were looking at GDP growth for the country in the second quarter, their comparison of the different G20 countries and how their GDPs have fared over the past couple of months. And so you have a list of about 19 countries, and right at the top you have India, and closer to the bottom of the barrel you have South Africa, and this was specifically for the first quarter versus the fourth quarter of last year, where you had India with the highest growth for the year at 2%, and South Africa right at the bottom at about 0.1%. We remember that, as well as France, also 0.1%. But what was interesting for that first quarter was to see the US as well as South Korea regressing into negative territory for that particular quarter. So when we look at the comparison with India, for example, we then, get a look at what their economy is doing right. 2% is not the best, but certainly still better than the rest of the economies in the G20. So what they seem to be doing right, Bongani, is investment in infrastructure, government investment, particularly there as well. And we've spoken about this over the past couple of months, the importance of investment in infrastructure. It's called the kingpin of the economy. And so when you're growing the investment, of course, you're able to draw the investors into the country that are able to pump money into the economy and by implication to grow jobs. They're getting it right in terms of construction, in terms of the agriculture economy as well. So a very interesting reflection by Stats SA in terms of those economies.
I mean, I think one of the things we saw this week, of course, was the announcement by Walmart that they're going to play a much more visible role. I mean, they've already got assets in the country, but they're actually going to be opening branded stores in South Africa because, of course, what that highlights, as you say, is that South Africa is still a viable destination, so we can turn those numbers around in terms of growth and investment. And talking of investment, Nokukanya, let's go to the capital now and tell us about that inaugural investment summit.
So what Twana did this week, Bongani, was invite a number of investors into the room where they'd put up, some of their underperforming assets at the moment, and that includes the Tshwane Showground, your Wonderboom Airport. You've got the Rooiwal as well as the Pretoria West electricity power plants, as well as some of the key bulk water infrastructure. And so they've put those on the market and called investors in and said, well, Tshwane is still a viable investment destination. If you're getting it right with Tshwane and Joburg, then you're able to grow the Gauteng economy better, and by implication, again, the national economy, because Gauteng is the economic hub of the country. And so they've put that up, and they had a target initially, Bongani, of 5 5 billion rand going into Friday, and this was, to get pledges at least until the end of the year, 5 billion rand, and they actually surpassed that by quite a bit, and they managed to draw in 16 billion rand in investment pledges. Of course, the big question is whether they're able to then convert those pledges into real action. And Tshwane Mayor Nasipi Moya was saying that they have got a designated desk in place to ensure that they're able to engage directly with investors, to ensure that the investors are certain that there's policy certainty in the city, and that the city is slowly turning its prospects around. Again, what investors want to know more than anything is that there's certainty, firstly, political certainty, and then, of course, the issue of infrastructure. And they're saying we've got both of those in place, and we're getting to a place where Tshwane is certainly the best place to pump your money into. And so, again, we then wait to see those 22 projects at the moment in construction, in agriculture as well. And over the next couple of months, Bongani will then see whether they're able to turn those into action. There's a specific focus on certain precincts over the next couple of quarters, starting with, for example, the Rosslyn precinct, which is a big automotive sector. And if you're getting the automotive sector right, where you've got Nissan, for example, you've got Ford in that area, you've got BMW, all of which are exporters into certain markets. Ford into the European markets, Nissan into the African markets in the Middle East, and then Nissan as well within Africa as well. And so if you're getting those right, then our export markets, again, doing a lot better than we expect post that announcement by U.S. President about the U.S. tariffs on our exports. And so again, diversifying our markets. So we'll look to see what prospects and how well that does as soon as those projects are slowly rolled out, Bongani.
All right, the G20 Correspondence Desk on 7:02 every Friday, brought to you by RMB and FNB.
7:02.
The Worldview.
Let's catch up now with news from elsewhere in the world. Vicky Turner in this morning to tell us about stories making headlines around the world. A very good morning to you, Vicky. Let's start with the search for this right-wing commentator, Charlie Kirk. Of course, we mentioned that yesterday. He was killed while speaking at this event in Utah, and now the search for his killer or killers continues.
It does, yeah. The FBI has now released an image of a suspect that they want to talk to, and a video of him. Actually, what you see is this guy jumping down from a rooftop and running through the campus. Now, interestingly, the FBI say the distinguishing features are his Converse trainers and a black T-shirt with an American flag on it. I'm not sure you'll get much help just through those two. They're offering a $100,000 reward for anyone who can give them some information that leads to his arrest. And they've said they will be pursuing the death penalty when they capture him. They have, of course, already found the weapon. They've got that in their possession, but the suspect is still at large. Meanwhile, we now know that Charlie Kirk's funeral looks like it's going to be happening a week on Saturday. I think that's to give Donald Trump time to come back home from his state visit to the UK. And Donald Trump announcing yesterday as well, of course, that he's awarding Charlie Kirk the Presidential Medal of Freedom posthumously. So, yeah, it continues. The search continues. And I think the Americans are desperate to find someone to pin this on.
He served as a minister, of course, in both the cabinets of Tony Blair and Gordon Brown, and lately the ambassador to the US. Tell me why Lord Mandelson has been sacked.
Well, Lord Mandelson sacked now for the third time from a government position, so you'd think he would be getting used to it. He was sacked as the UK ambassador to Washington after emails surfaced revealing a deeper relationship with the convicted paedophile Jeffrey Epstein than previously known. Lord Mandelson himself, in an interview earlier this week, had warned that there was more to come, but was still arrogant enough not to resign, thought he may cling on in there. The emails reveal that he did some sort of property deal with Jeffrey Epstein after he had pleaded guilty to these trafficking charges, and just before he was jailed in 2008. It also reveals that Lord Mandelson was saying to him, we'll help you get, but I'm paraphrasing here, but basically saying, we'll do all we can to campaign for your freedom. So even though Jeffrey Epstein had pleaded guilty Lord Mandelson was still saying, we'll do everything we can to get you out of there. I mean, now questions are being asked about our Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer's judgment. He's lost two major players in his government in the last week.
Goodness me. And of course, one of the things that has surfaced in those emails is Mandelson expressing support for Epstein and saying your friends stay with you or are sticking with you. Project Rebirth, Vicky, it could change the future of aviation.
I really love this story. It was inspired by the recent Air India crash. Two engineers have developed this plane, which has basically, this is in layman's terms, of course, but massive airbags which deploy from the nose, the belly, and the tail of the plane to form a protective cocoon. And it happens during imminent crashes. Now, it's all driven by AI. The system monitors flight data and activates automatically below 3,000 feet if a crash is unavoidable. But it does have optional pilot override. It also has reverse thrust or gas thrusters, which slow the descent and impact absorbing fluids, which harden on collision to protect the passengers. I think it is amazing. It's a finalist for the James Dyson Award, which is pretty prestigious in the world of engineering. The thing that I find fascinating about it is these things always look a bit kooky when you first see them, but somewhere these will be used in the future.
And the technology will improve and get better. I think that's a great way to end it, the world view. I think on that positive note, Vicky Turner, as always, a pleasure.
EWN Business.
Talking of things ending, let's wrap up this morning's business news, 27 after 8. Muteo Kharipe, First Rand reporting strong profits with the retail bank FNB recording a surge in customer deposits.
Yeah, First Rand has delivered a 10% increase in annual earnings despite macroeconomic challenges. The group's headline earnings rose to 42 billion Rand. This up from 38 billion in the previous year. Now, First Rand says FNB has seen its deposit base exceed 1 trillion Rand despite the Big Four bank seeing minimal growth in customer numbers. They, of course, have around 9 million customers versus Capitec's more than 20 million. FNB's net interest income also growing by 6%. Its car finance unit, Westbank, performing strongly, dealing with early credit strain from earlier in the financial year, while the bank says it's seeing a rise in home loans for properties below 5 million Rand, boosted by the shaving of interest rates by the South African Reserve Bank. The SARB has reduced interest rates by 125 basis points since September last year.
Ooh, the UK reporting weak economic growth for the month of July. So we're not the only ones growing slowly.
Yeah, the UK economy registered zero growth in July, according to the latest data from the UK's Office for National Statistics. Economists polled by Reuters had expected the country's gross domestic product to be flat following a 0.4% expansion in June. It comes after the economy grew by better than expected 0.3% in the second quarter, although this was down from a bumper growth of 0.7% seen in the first quarter. So they're also below 1% growth. Economists now expect a slowdown to take hold of the UK economy in the latter half of 2025.
All right, your indicators?
Was a good day for the JSE yesterday. The all share up 340 points, boosted by banking stocks, which were up more than 1%. Industrial shares also up 0.5%, making up for the mining losses after that particular index was down 0.5%. Discovery reporting losses of 9.5% despite great results yesterday. Thungela was down 6%. Karoo, the Internet of Things business, down 2.5%, with Premier Foods down 1.8%. First Rand, biggest winner yesterday, up more than 6%. Life Healthcare up 2.5%, with consumer goods business AVI up more than 2.5% as well. The Rand this morning at 17 Rand 38 sounds like a good number, but it's flat against the US dollar this morning.
A month ago, we were celebrating 1746.
Yeah, so 1738 doesn't sound as bad.
That's flat.
It's flat. We want more. 16. Drive for 16. 20 Rand 37 against the euro and 23 Rand 56 cents against the British pound. Price of gold is up 0.5% at $3,652 an ounce, while platinum is also in the green now at $1,394. Brent crude still keeping low, below that $70 mark at $65 84 cents a barrel. I'll bring you the wrap of the week's business later this afternoon.
The rand is flat. All sorts of unfortunate metaphors swirling in my head, but we will not go there. It's time for the latest eyewitness news at exactly 8:30. Sfisa Zulu, take us to the Joburg CBD. Good morning.
That's right, Bongani. That's where Lilian Ngoyi Street is once again bustling in the CBD after it was opened this morning following a 2-year closure. Formerly known as Bree Street, the roadway was destroyed in July 2023 following a massive underground gas pipe explosion. Repairs faced repeated delays, likely due to disputes with the first company contracted for the project. Alfara Mushwana is there.
Taxi drivers are clearly the happiest this morning, being the first to drive along the newly refurbished Lilian Ngoyi Street. Already, dozens of taxis are making their way through, while residents sing with joy at the sight of traffic returning to the road after 2 years. Motorists are hooting in celebration as pedestrians on the roadside join in song, welcoming the reopening of a street that had long been closed for years. This resident, who lives in one of the buildings on Lilian Ngoyi Street, says she's been waiting for this moment for a long time.
Today I'm very happy, I'm very proud because I'm staying here next to the Bree Street. So it's long time. So today I'm celebrating myself.
The city of Johannesburg will now begin with phase 2 of the project, which involves making the street visually appealing. Alfa Ramshwana, Eyewitness News, Johannesburg.
Deputy President Paul Mashatile says scrapping broad-based black economic empowerment would be like going back to apartheid. Mashatile says the triple BEE policy has been a great success and must be implemented even more rigorously since most of the country's economy is still in the hands of the minority. Mashatile was responding to questions in the National Council of Provinces yesterday on whether BEE was the cause of slow economic growth and unemployment. Babalo Ndenza reports.
Paul Mashatile was again questioned about the need for triple BEE and how it might be a barrier to greater investment. Mashatile says triple BEE is not a race policy, but rather a transformation policy, and a lot of companies and South Africans have benefited. He says the scrapping of the policy is out of the question and should be implemented more rigorously.
It is not correct where in the country where black people are probably 90% of the population, but 70% is controlled by others. It can't be allowed. We have to come with policies to change that. Anybody who says we must scrap that, it means we must go back to apartheid.
On addressing youth unemployment, Mashatile said government wants young people to be creators of employment and must be assisted to come up with initiatives. Babalo Ndenza, Eyewitness News.
And 8 years since the first of 2 constitutional court rulings in respect of the detention of illegal foreign nationals, the National Assembly has passed the Immigration Amendment Bill. It aims to ensure fairer arrest and detention and treatments, especially for women and children. Home Affairs Minister Leon Schreiber says the bill will lead to a raft of new regulations he plans to introduce for swifter deportation. The bill requires that someone detained under the Immigration Act appear before a court within 48 hours and not be held for more than 30 days. Lindsay Dentlinker takes a look.
The Constitutional Court gave Parliament 24 months, which expired in 2019, to rectify the Immigration Act, following judgments in the favour of lawyers for human rights. Minister Leon Schreiber says the new standards in the bill give greater predictability to the deportation process.
In addition to upholding the rights of the detained, the introduction of this heightened level of objectivity makes it much harder for any immigration officer to arbitrarily release detainees before they are deported.
Schreiber says the new law should limit endless challenges to deportations.
In time, this will make for a stronger immigration enforcement system that reduces legal claims against the department while enhancing our ability to carry out legally compliant deportations more effectively.
He says the bill will be followed by a draft white paper on citizenship, immigration and refugee protection for public comment. The Immigration Amendment Bill has now been sent to the National Council of Provinces for concurrence. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
A partly cloudy Friday in store for Gauteng. The temperatures are at lows of 13 and 16 degrees, peaking at highs between 29 and 30.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N3 South between Marafontein Road and the Kirulis interchange. There's also queuing traffic along Mayibuye Drive in the Surname area due to an accident near the N1.
The top story this hour, Lilian Ngoyi Street is once again bustling in the Johannesburg CBD after it was opened this morning following a 2-year closure.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
Are you confident that you'll be able to bring tensions down there and regain control of the situation?
Yes, of course, but that issue, as I've said, the people to address it is the city of Johannesburg. I've spoken to our executive mayor as I was addressing the community. The community were calm. Based on that, I think it helps that I had to ascend and come here and interact with the community.
Lieutenant General Tommy Mtumbeni, the Gauteng Commissioner.
The Midday Report
With Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Selling your car shouldn't be a mission. We Buy Cars gets it. Life's short, time's precious. So get an offer online and sell your car within a day from wherever it suits you. It's really that simple with We Buy Cars. Shopping for your new ride? Discover thousands of vehicles online or in-store. We Buy Cars, South Africa's trusted way to buy and sell cars.
Be in it to win it by playing Powerball and Powerball Plus for a life-changing 124 million rand in total estimated jackpots this Friday. That's right. Play Powerball for an estimated 64 million rand and Powerball Plus for an estimated 60 million rand today. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old or play responsibly. E2 is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Light the fire this game day with a winning lineup from Checkers. Like Championship Boerewors, thick or thin for just R109.99 per kilo. Steakhouse Classic Man-Size Club Steak for only 140 Rand per kilo. And Tate's Potato Chips 125 grams. Buy any two for 32 Rand. Light the fire, South Africa, and let Checkers do the rest. Deals valid until this Sunday, only at Checkers.
It's that time of the year. Sneezing, itchy, watery eyes, blocked noses and coughs. It's time to live, work, play and sleep allergy-free. For trusted relief for you and your family this allergy season, ask your pharmacist for the Adcock Ingram OTC Allergy Survival Pack. With products like Allergex Non-Drowsy, Cetisid, Levogex and more, we have you covered. Remember, Adcock Ingram OTC. And visit beprepared365.co.za.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
Adrian, your feelings around Discovery Bank's achievement?
It's now the fastest growing bank in the country, and just the quality of clients, the scale, I think it's been remarkable. So, we have a target of 3 billion of profit. When we reach 2 million customers, I think we're very confident of achieving that. The bank's been remarkable.
Adrian, talking to us about Discovery's overall performance.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show is brought to you by ABSA CIB, equipping you with efficient and secure cash management solutions for your business. Your story matters. ABSA is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Bongani, we know why they are making those pavements at Bree Streets. It's about entrepreneurs, They need to renew that thing, and after the rain came and the taxis, they mess up that street. So they need to fix that thing. They are going to fix it even in 5 months, that thing there. It's all about the entrepreneurs, Bongani. They need to use them in making money. There's no other explanation.
Hi, Uncle Bongani. I'd like to find out regards the Lilian Ngoyi Street refurbishment. Does the city of Joburg have a plan for the maintenance and security, general upkeep of that street? Because it's one thing to fix the street, and once you put up new things, again, it becomes prone to vandalism and etc. So is there a plan to maintain it the way it looks so nice and Rosebankish? Cheers, Emmanuel from Riverside.
Good morning, Bongani. This is Selma from Roodepoort. A while ago, I was walking to my car in the parking lot at the Randridge Mall, and there was a taxi stopped there waiting for the workers. It was quite late in the afternoon. He threw out the can out of his window I immediately stopped in front of his taxi, screamed at him, said, "You're going to pick that up. That is littering. It's a criminal offense." And believe it or not, he realized I meant this. Somehow or another, he actually got out, picked it up, and walked quite a distance to go throw it away in the bin. You see, we just have to take charge of the situation. Have a lovely day. Bye.
That could go either way, though. I think you've got to be. So, what I try to do is be as polite as you can, point out the wrong so that we understand. I'm not fighting with you as an individual. So, I think, when you wag your little finger, it can go either way. But maybe there's an authority to you, hey? Maybe you've got that school principal look, and he thought best not to argue with a serious older lady, hey? Maybe you can get away with it. I probably couldn't. Not just yet, young as I look.
EWN Sport.
Mawande can see yesterday, he's rolled his eyes so far back at that last little comment. This EWN Sport brought to you by JQ. Start here and let nothing stop you, not even traffic. All right, let's talk. Tomorrow, it's a big day for the Springboks and not just the men's team.
Yeah, absolutely, Bongani. The Springbok men's and women's teams both have a big weekend ahead in their respective test matches. The men's team needs to win their game against the All Blacks tomorrow morning if they are to remain in contention to win the Rugby Championship and get their first ever title defence back on track. Springbok centre Damian Willemse.
Yeah, we expect obviously a very physical rugby game. That's always been what you can expect from the All Blacks. And then obviously I think it's going to be a test match of close and small margins. But yeah, it's going to be another big and epic test match. South Africa versus the All Blacks, number 1 versus number 2 in the world. So yeah, it's going to be epic. And
kickoff in that one is at 9 a.m, while the Bok women's team will be up against New Zealand in their maiden Rugby World Cup quarterfinals. The Black Ferns are the defending world champions and are overwhelming favourites to win, but SA coach Swys de Bruin remains hopeful of a surprise result.
It's a big game for them and it's a bigger game for us. They've won it about how many times? 6 times this tournament. 2017, we couldn't even send a team. So that's the backlog we have, but we are definitely catching in World Rugby and hopefully sooner than we think.
And that game will get underway at 2 p.m. There's also the Currie Cup semi-finals to look forward to tomorrow. The Lions will host the Boland Cavaliers at 5 p.m. That game will be followed at 7:15 by the game between the Griquas and the Free State Cheetahs. The MTN 8 final takes centre stage in local football this weekend. The match will see Stellenbosch FC hoping to get some revenge on Orlando Pirates in a repeat of last year's final that was won by the Buccaneers. And Stelli's coach Steve Barker is hoping to prevent the Bucks from winning a 4th title in a row.
It's not just like something brand new. So I think it's always the balance of just getting heightened sort of emotional levels, heightened sort of focus, commitment. Final is a final. We can't run away from it. There is extra to it. But it's just getting the balance right of not over-hyping and over-excitable. And then that leads to pressure and anxiety. So I think it's just really understanding and letting the players know that they deserve to be showcasing their abilities and talents. They've earned the right to be there.
So tomorrow, I'm going to wear 2 tops. In the morning, it's going to be green and gold. And later in the day, it's going to be black and white.
Fair enough. And I hope it goes well for you. And I might get into a little bit of trouble for that one. But with Abdeslam Wadu and recovering from the accident last week, it would make a good story if Pirates end up winning that one.
Historic win.
And that too.
History.
Never been done before. Win. 4 titles in a row.
It will be an historic occasion.
Yeah, and I'm also preparing myself for a very loud Monday.
In years to come, we will say, where were you when? Right? Where were you on that 13th of September?
Fantastic.
In Dunham.
And kickoff in that one is at 6 p.m. While there's also a series victory on the line tonight for the Proteas when they play England in the second T20 of their series. That match takes place at Old Trafford in Manchester. That follows the 14-run win that the Proteas recorded earlier in the week. Play begins at 7:30. Mawanda Mateza, Eyewitness News Sport.
They'll tell you to wait until you're ready, until the plan is perfect, until you have it all together. But let's be real. Anyone who's done anything started without enough. They started nervous, started without a plan, until the hustle made sense. They started anyway. And when ambition calls, you need more than a ride. You need a car built to start you on your journey, to drive you into what's next. Start where it matters. Start where it counts. The new JQ J5. Start here.
EWN Traffic.
8:45 on the nose. Let's wrap up the morning's traffic. It's a Friday morning, so things can be busy. Amma, what are you seeing?
Well, Bongani, excitement really about the reopening of Lilian Goy Street in the Joburg CBD between Loveday Street and Van Brandes. So if you'll be traveling within the CBD this morning, feel free to use this route, whether as a pedestrian or as a motorist. And if you're traveling in Edenville, we still have got that accident on the N3 South. It happened near Linksfield Road, causing delays. There's also slow-moving traffic along the N1 South. This is in the Midrand area due to an accident after a new road. Delays from Olifantsfontein Road. More updates at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Standard Bank Joy of Jazz 2025 is diving deep into the art and the heart of jazz. This year, the legendary Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra with Wynton Marsalis are taking to the center stage and making a triumphant return to Johannesburg. Expect an unforgettable lineup, over 60 megastars, including Esperanza Spalding, Michelle Ndengo-Chelo. We've got Sia Makuzeni, Amanda Black, Vusi Mahlasela, and Duduzo Makatini, the Benjamin Jefta Trio, so many more. Buy tickets to this incredible three-day festival, the 26th, the 27th, and the 28th of September. Tickets are selling fast via Ticketmaster. Take me there!
Saddle up for springtime success with Hollywood Bears. Experience the thrill of the turf and take a shot at a share of 100,000 Rand in cash and betting vouchers. All you have to do is bet 50 Rand or more on any horse racing meeting online or visit your nearest branch to enter. Spring into action and bet now for your shot at exciting rewards.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
At Trinity House, authentic Christian values empower our students to succeed together. With passionate teachers and expert coaches, we support your child in reaching their full potential in the classroom and in life. Join us for our open day on Saturday, 13 September from 9 to 12 at our campuses in Centurion, Glen Vista, Rand Park Ridge, and Little Falls. RSVP now at trinityhouse.co.za. Trinity House, succeeding together.
Coming up
On the Clement Manyatela Show
on 702.
Between 9 and 12 is the Clement Manyatela Show. It is, of course, also Friday, so there's all kinds of issues to be discussed. Good morning.
So should I start there with your favorite feature?
You can start with the open line. I'm a disciplined cadre.
Okay, on the open line today, we're going to reflect a little bit on the most amazing team in South Africa, Pirates, because tomorrow is the MTN 8, and I think we're going to win it for the fourth time in a row. History. We're about to make history. So I want to ask what the listeners think is going to transpire tomorrow. I've got my thoughts as well. We're going to do Gratitude Friday. What are you grateful for this week? We're also watching this Thabo Bester documentary. Did you see his lawyer? Is he like a real lawyer?
How do you know he escaped? How do you know?
But is that like the real thing?
I thought whatever Ngukai Tobi thought he was going to be dealing with.
Oh my goodness.
I think he must have.
He probably thought, what am I doing here?
But have you been in that situation where you are in a debate or disagreement with somebody?
Yeah. And you're
but the basis of their thinking
is
actually so flawed.
Someone sent us a voice note on my show. Was it yesterday or 2 days ago? And I didn't respond to it. And a lot of people started tweeting me and sending WhatsApps and said, why didn't you respond to that? But they know why. Because I was like, what do I even say to that? Because there are certain things where you're like, but where are we going to go with that conversation, honestly speaking, with due respect?
We are all adults here. Come on now. Come on now.
Okay. So that's what we're doing on the open line. And then at 10 o'clock, we're going to do the Across the Desk feature. Today I'm hosting people who have had successful IVF journeys They're going to share their journeys
lovely.
with us.
Oh, lovely.
And then at 11 o'clock, we're going to do our relationship and sex feature, Bongani's favorite feature on the show. And today, it's adult radio, and we are talking about something that's often referred to as post-nut clarity or guilt. It's a colloquial term, but that sense of mental clarity that some men and some women experience following sexual release.
Guilt?
Yes.
Why would you feel guilty?
Because
we'll
you
find
realize
out at 11 o'clock.
Exactly.
Between
It's too
9
early
and
to
12.
explain.
Guilt. Of all the things. Guilt. Clement will explain.
702.
This weekend.
All right, let's talk about what you can look forward to this weekend. You can step into the world of Dancing the Death Drill at the Joburg Theatre. It's a theatrical experience that promises to be memorable. It's running until the 28th of September, and it's a gripping stage adaptation of Fred Khumalo's award-winning novel, taking you on a journey through Paris in 1958. It's brought to life by veteran actor Clint Brink, a South African soldier forever haunted by the tragic sinking of the SS Mendi in 1917. And of course, it's directed by the fantastic James Ngobo, adapted by Palisa Mazamisa. The production weaves drama, music, and dance into a powerful tribute. We've got Clint Brink on the line. Firstly, Clint, I thought you were popping in.
Good morning, Bongani. How are you doing?
I'm fine. It's the traffic that kept you away, isn't it?
No, there seems to be issues with what's happening in Westbury in the West Rand. For the last 2 days, I actually thought it was going to get cleared up, but I see the tires are burning. Roads have been closed down. I think the community have done it themselves. I saw the police were going in and out of Westbury. So this morning it just escalated and, it just made things a little bit more difficult.
Goodness me, and if it affects someone like you, you can just imagine just how deeply entrenched those issues are. And once again, people are having to protest to be heard. But let's get straight to the business of the moment. The role of Pitso Mutaung in Dancing the Death Drill. Just give us a sense, firstly, what the play is about and what attracted you to the role.
So the play is an adaptation by Fred Khumalo's book, like you rightfully said. And it has to do, the central character is Pitso Mutaung, who essentially is a vehicle for everything that surrounded the sinking of the SS Mendi. We journey with these men, these soldiers who were promised a better life after the soldiers who went over to Germany, or who went over to France to fight the Germans in World War I, and the tragic sinking of the Mendi. So our protagonist Pitso walks around with the weight of that on his shoulders, and not just the Mendi, also just feeling displaced in South Africa. And Fred beautifully knitted this character together where he is able to tell the story of someone who is in South Africa, or a South African, but also struggles with his own personal identity. And I think this has, kind of like reflects on us as a nation and as a people. So what attracted me to this role was just I would say the depth of what I was able to explore with this character. And, my own personal experiences of also feeling like a bit of an outsider when it came to, certain social spheres. And then just to be a part of something that is so historically and authentically South African and not just purely for pure entertainment purposes. Now we can we are able to now honor these heroes who never really got honored the way they should have, you know.
It's a story that should be told over and over again, and it's a story that should be well known. But Clint, just so I can make sense of the timelines, as I understand it, so Pitso would have been one of the soldiers who went to Europe to fight in 1917, but would himself not have been on the SS Mendi, which is why then in 58, according to the narrative, he's able to reflect both on his state at that time, but also the memory of what happened to his comrades.
Yeah, so Pizzo was a survivor on the Mendy. He was on the Mendy. And then after the sinking of the Mendy, was recovering in France with some of the other, I think out of the 900 plus soldiers who were on the Mendy, about 150 survived, and Pizzo being one of them. Yes, Pizzo being one of them. So he witnessed all of everything that happened, with the sinking of the Mendy. But the journey already started with, all of the men that were being recruited, and just this beautiful the story of an aftermath of what the war would be like for them when they come back to South Africa was sold to these men, and him being in France, recovering, had to obviously still be working for the Navy in different battalions and in different camps. A mutiny broke out in one of the native prisons, and he found himself on the run, needing to make certain decisions. Was he going to die for king and country that wasn't necessarily his, or find a place where he can actually, his deep desire is just to belong and be seen for who he is.
I like this. I like the theme of a conflict with being an outsider and yet seeking to belong, because as you've just, in that phrase, reminded us, many of these soldiers were fighting for king and country, but as you say, it was a king and certainly a country that didn't see them as equal subjects. And so this idea of sacrificing for an ideal that didn't recognize your contribution is a deeply emotional and complex journey.
Yes, very, very much so. And it's just told on so many various different levels. It really is a beautifully moving piece, spirit-filled, just put together, and a collaboration of so many amazing creators and just humble, super uber talented spirits,
And of course, it's not just, we're talking about it as if it's all simply dialogue, but there's drama, there's music, and there's dance to how this production is being staged. So it is also entertaining, even though it touches on these very serious themes.
100%. I'll be honest with you. For 2025, this is definitely for everyone. If you are a South African, this is a must-see. And we're slowly getting to the point where we are waking up to the fact that a lot of us, we don't know our history. So many things have been hidden from us or just swept under the carpet, And even that within itself makes us battle with our identity as a country and as a people, And I feel like the way that Luyanda Sidia was able to do the choreography, Nsaki doing the music, Balisa, the script that she wrote, the incredible cast, complete, the a cappella group that we have, all of the musicians. I'll stick my neck out and even say if this had to be a Broadway show, it would probably be world renowned.
Oh, wow. That's definitely high praise. I'll tell you what we do, because you've sold it to us so beautifully. We are going to give away 5 tickets, right? This is on, of course, until the 28th of September. It's on at the Mandela stage at the Joburg Theatre. I think Clint Brink has sold this idea very well. Clint, congratulations firstly for this production and being a part of it, and we certainly look forward to seeing you on stage. And thank you for talking to us. Clint Brink, the celebrated actor, you mostly know him, of course, on screen, but really exploding on the Joburg Theatre stage. Now, if you've heard all of that and you reckon you want tickets, we've got 5 tickets to give away. Call us now on 011 883 0702. It's really first come, first serve, as it were. We're not even going to take it to air, but we've got 5 tickets. If you call us now and you want to go to see the production, the producers are really behind the scenes and they'll take your call and you can go see Dancing the Death Drill. Now, if you don't get through and you're not able to be one of the winners, I think it's certainly worth going to Web Tickets and buying the tickets yourself.
702 podcasts are on 702.co.za.
Look at the lines light up the screens. Everybody wants to go see Dancing the Death Drill, and I think it's an absolutely fantastic production, as you heard Clint Brink tell tell it there. And that brings us to the end of this edition of 702 Breakfast. Up next is the Clement Manyatala Show, and no doubt one of the things he's going to tell you is whether or not you're going to be able to watch that docu on Netflix later.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Business owners on Lilian Ngoyi Street in Joburg CBD are breathing a sigh of relief following a 2-year struggle. The busy roadway was opened this morning after the completion of repairs which have affected some business operations. An underground gas explosion led to the closure in 2020.